solution for fun, but also a very big carry top laner there as well. And it seems like Huni's style had been so much of the high damage, let me carry the game top laners. Now in SKT, he's had to learn to play more back as well, but certainly can attack MMD.
Yeah, and I mean, that is definitely going to be one of the biggest mismatches. One of the biggest matches I'm super excited to see is Faker versus Maple. Two of the very best mid laners in the entire world going head-to-head is always really exciting to see.
I'm sad we don't get LeBlanc, though, in this matchup here. I think both these guys are obviously some of the best in the world at playing that specific champion, which is why also she's banned away. She is the champion getting banned the most. Been like that actually for quite a while. People figured out that even after the nerfs, she was still fantastic.
Exactly. Distortion, big nerfs there. However, the Q bouncing still very, very powerful. And we're going to see mostly top lane focus here. Not a big surprise as we keep mentioning MMD and all the focus that teams are putting on him. They're trying to protect him a little bit, but it was a bit surprising the Rumble ban for me from SKT, as Huni is an absolute monster on that. They don't want to give it away as a first round pick though.
Right, yeah, I feel like the reason they banned Rumble is because the one blind pick that MMD has picked and even died on a few times but still had an impact on is the Rumble. Happened in the LMS, obviously it happened here at MSI, so I feel like they're just trying to target him and remove his comfort pick and try and put him maybe on a skill matchup against Huni, because that would not be pretty.
A couple of shields getting taken out as well.
Sure, I mean, you know that Bang is a player that is happy to play the more carry style, played a lot of Twitch very recently, has been very good on him. When you contrast with someone like Betty, who has been just a second support down on that bot lane, exclusively playing CC champions down there, so, double shield comps are exclusively an SKT thing.
Yeah, so now the question is, do you take Lee Sin or Graves, or do you just trade them later on and grab something else for first pick? But there are very few very valuable first picks right now. Lee Sin is definitely one of them.
Lee Sin is definitely one of them, and people are very quick to jump on, oh yeah, undefeated on Lee Sin, why are you giving this over to him? His Elise is also magnificent. Like there's so much that you would have to ban away from SKT to take this out.
Right.
Lee Sin is definitely one of the champions though that you expect Peanut to go for his aggressive playstyle. You talked about molding players to SKT though, Freak.
And what I'm excited about is it's a no jungle ban game, so Peanut and Karsa, arguably the two best junglers of the tournament. You can make a case for other ones here, but two extremely top-class junglers get to play pretty much whatever they want and go ham on each other.
Yeah, like that Lee Sin has taken the #1 spot over Graves. It was actually Graves earlier in the tournament who would take him, but they realized playmaking potential is important, and of course you can still trade it for the Graves here, which is fine for Karsa. Tahm Kench again. We always talk about these trends that develop during a tournament. Tahm Kench is now, for some of these teams, become a really high priority pick.
It does make a lot of sense, with the Ashe and Varus still very high priority for a lot of teams, but also mid laners that have a lot of pick. Talia's very big now, Syndra's very big now. You're getting a lot of things that people being able to save 180 carry from a pick like that means a difference between a team fight.
Now, I want to see Echo or Fizz here from SKT. The reason they can take Fizz is because they can still flex in top lane. Worst case, they put it mid, and it is actually a good matchup for Faker against Syndra. Echo is the other traditional counter, but he doesn't need to lock that in now. He already showed the Fizz.
Plus, Fizz, if you do put it into the top lane, is a really, really strong laning champion because of the fact he can bring Ignite and use the abilities to escape ganks up in the top lane. There's a lot of pressure there. It actually adds a lot of very dynamic pressure to your drafting phase with both solo laners.
Yeah, it's actually quite a big surprise that Flash Wolves showed Syndra here. Again, red side is where you traditionally look for counter picks for your solo laners, but they said, you know what, Syndra is the #1 pick for us with LeBlanc being banned, and could also be that Maple doesn't really want to try and play like Echo or something against Faker Syndra.
Yeah, that is what's kind of strange about this, is you're right. Like, I guess if you thought the Syndra was going to get grabbed over here on the second round on the blue side, you mentioned maybe not want to play counterpick, but you're right, when the Graves going to come picked up anyway, you can just wait on the Syndra to remove the option of counterpicking by getting the bans here.
And I think a lot, other things that weigh into it besides just the Faker versus Maple matchup is the fact of that early Lee Sin pick puts more pressure on you because there's so much early playmaking, whereas the Graves is more farm oriented for the beginning.
Yeah, but it sadly just means now for Flash Wolves, if they start banning out Echo and these counters to Syndra, then Fizz just becomes the mid laner. So that strategy is kind of gone. You don't actually get that favorable of a matchup now for Maple that you otherwise could have maybe gotten on red side, because we know Faker likes to blind pick Orianna. And I think that would have been okay for Flash Wolves to play against, because they can then try and then roam away from the Orianna lane and create some of these picks in the side lanes they've done in the past against SKT.
Or look for that Hall of Fame solo kills on Faker in the Syndra versus Orianna match.
That's fine too.
Trying to get your name up there in lights.
There you go, the Gragas ban. So yeah, several tank bans coming through, and again, we know that Fizz can just simply go into the top lane, and he'll just pick Echo anyway, and we'll just have 2 assassins, and still have a good matchup for himself. So lots of tools to play with right now for SKT. But still, top lane bans coming through right now.
Yeah, they're trying to hurt MMD again. We know Fizz can go top lane for Huni if needed. Kled is another pick that MMD has played quite a bit, and Flash Wolves do have the last pick in this draft here, so they could take it as a last pick. It has been banned away a few times against them. Again, I think just more out of respect and maybe fear against MMD. I don't think they need to ban another tank, at least at this point. Or if they want to, it should be normal.
Maybe Kled, if anything, for something he's
exactly
comfortable on. It looks like a first pick Ashe will be coming through for Flash Wolves, though, based on the Varus ban. You pick number 2 in that generalist role for the bot lane, and the final ban is going to be Kled right there. So is it going to be another 4-letter word with Ashe getting grabbed?
Good prediction, Freak.
Thanks, buddy. It's not hard. Just saying. Jhin. Oh no!
I think they missed the joke there.
I did. I actually didn't. I didn't look over.
Honestly, though, we were looking at the setup here with the Varus ban from Flash Wolves for this pick for Betty. We mentioned it a couple times, though. The champion pool for Betty has been just mainly the utility AD carries. It has been the Ashe, it has been the Varus, it has been the Jhin. It has not revolved around end game scaling 80 carries like this. So this is a very interesting look to see from Flash Wolves here. There's only been a spot couple of games in their home league where Betty was actually on the end game carry.
Betty's played 40 games of Ashe Varus Jhin.
That's what I'm talking about.
And 8 of not. None of those have been Twitch right now. There is a significant difference in play style here for the player. He's got a Tahm Kench support. He's up against a Kog'Maw. Now maybe even Renekton to dive on him. Keep in mind the mid-Fizz scary as well. And suddenly, a lot of weight is on Betty's shoulders.
Yeah. Betty's Twitch pick here, and the very weak 2v2 lane bot for Flash was just open up.
Oh!
Some late game picks from Bang as well, and Fiora, that is a blind pick right now up in the top lane. You could potentially take Renekton on the side of MMD against it and try and really bully that lane.
I actually really enjoy this. SKT have 2 super strong, assassin solo laners here, basically. And then the Kog'Maw doesn't even have a bunch of extra shields. They want to work off of the pressure. Kog'Maw actually does spike pretty early, just on an item or 2. It's not really the old Kog'Maw that people think about. You have to farm off super late game. But so much damage here possible from SKT.
Blind big Fiora.
I love watching this team.
And you do not get punished at all. Like, that is actually quite surprising. Obviously, when you are SKT, you're 4-0 already. You can gamble in the bigger ban phase here and there. MMD did not feel confident taking any sort of skill matchup against Huni right now. So he takes a tank, accepts that the late game is so heavily in favor of Huni that Flash Wolves have to try and get ahead early on and just try and force teamfights with this Nautilus. Otherwise, that side lane is going to be 2 or 3 towers in favor of SKT, and then Huni's going to run all over the place.
Exactly. It's going to be the double teleport. We're definitely going to expect that, and it's going to be so scary. The mid game is always where you look to SKT, and this is where teams talk about they're unable to act almost because SKT, every minion wave they push, they then make another action to force you to a different area of the map, and you lose out slowly in pressure.
Really interesting as well with this switch, as you guys talked about, like, there were so many 80 carries available. He could have gone for like all these standard 80 carries except for Varus was there, and he went for the Twitch. The only Varus was removed.
Wanted to play Twitch, had the option to go elsewhere. So a new style for Betty here in this one. Flash Wolves have always found it in them to do well against SKT. For some reason, this has lined up well against them. We'll see this happens again. When it doesn't look obvious, it still happens. They match up well in the early game, they match up well in the mid game, and maybe this is just that matchup where it clicks for them. SK Telecom T1 hoping that this is their first perfect international tournament, 4-0 so far. This is the last matchup for the first round robin. They will play 5 more BO1s before the bracket stage, but a clean sweep in the first side of the groups would look nice for them.
I like how we have 5 teams here at MSI. Playing just to try and make top 4, and then we have SKT trying to make it the perfect tournament. That is now their goal. That is the objective for them. Do not drop a single game.
This is very important for Flash Wolves. If they could improve to 3-2, they were able to defeat SKT in the group stages of MSI last year, and this would definitely put them ahead in that race you're talking about of the other 4 teams.
Exactly. Now with obviously TSM beating G2, those 2 teams are sitting at 2 and 3 right now. GIGABYTE Marines sitting at 1 and 3 so far. So getting one surprise win can actually mean such a massive difference.
And a win against a team that almost no other teams are expected to get wins against. So wins here are very, very potent.
Especially when you know every team is within reach of each other. Regardless at the end of the first round robin, everyone's going to be within striking distance of making or losing out at the end of the group stage. As we have a pretty low impact early game here. We had Wolf sitting the brush, Peanut going to go for a blue buff start. Looks like Graves will get Raptors.
And you always have to track the early information here. SKT have this crucial ward. It's not that crucial anymore, as you'll assume that Graves will start the Raptors, but this is going to give them confirmation. We'll track Peanut as far as his early route on Lee Sin. He is definitely one of the most aggressive that we'll see.
And it actually means that Huni saw MMD with their little early leash. So Huni's trying to wait here, see if he can get a few early hits on Nautilus, but MMD is taking a long route around. We'll find each other though.
Ooh, gets a good Vital there as well for a nice chunk.
Yeah, despite the Courage of the Colossus, actually some decent damage coming through. Huni already max stacked on Fervor, meaning plenty more attack damage coming through. And he's winning that trade pretty nicely. Keeps the Fervor on, gets another Vital actually, really outletting MMD super early on. Another good Vital spawn actually, queues up in a second. Gonna look for it, gets even more damage.
Also, you notice Huni was zoning him off of the experience, so he's even lower level, but Karsa is coming to even the odds.
Not gonna be level 2 at the start of this one. Here comes the attempt to chase it down, of course. There's no other CC for MMD, just the passive. When it times out, he can flash auto, flash Q. Karsa wants it, one more hit. The turret would block this shot. A trade of flashes. Huni will have the TP early.
You have to assume Peanut's gonna go for an invade now. They had early vision on the Raptors. Karsa gave away his position.
Babel just put a ward down as soon as you said it, Kobe, here, to spot if Peanut is actually walking to that blue wall.
What is important in the counter invades there is also the pushing in the bottom lane. Right now, right in the middle, so there's not a lot of extra support for him.
Now, flash trade from Karsa and Huni right now. TP used by Huni very early, though, to get back to the lane, and that can be very important for MMD.
You can still see, delayed invades to look for a lower level jungler on the other side, because even though Karsa is able to get to his blue side, he hasn't spent the time clearing, so Peanut is able to get the Scuttle Crab, but he gets revealed by the Scryer.
I like that move here from Karsa, just knowing there is a chance this guy might actually gank me. Another option is he goes down and places a ward in the entrance to spot the Lee Sin.
Exactly. It's basically mirroring the old play that we used to see, where you would use your early smite on the Wolves to get the Wolf Spirit. That no longer in the game. Now Scrying Orb is basically taking its place, and Karsa able to adapt.
We're seeing actually a pretty substantial lane lead right now for Maple. He's going to be +7 before the lane even resets itself. He's got an extra minion there to kill. Revealed by the fact that Lee Sin, actually Fiora's top side, and Maple should have to hug the bottom side for that.
This is very standard in the Fizz Syndra matchup. The Fizz will have to surrender some CS early on. Like level 6 is really the big point for Faker. Normally what you say is that once you have ulti on Fizz, if you manage to land the ulti, well, you should expect to get a kill. Because then your jungler shows up and the guy's knocked up and that's a kill.
Exactly, and a lot of the extra CS that you'll see, variation in the matchup is if the Fizz has his jungle visit early. If you have, more threats for kill pressure, that's where he's able to kind of get extra CS off based on that.
Again, important also, as we highlighted before, Huni had to use early TP back to lane. So it means now MMD can push lane all the way out, and if he wants to keep the pressure, he can TP back to lane and get a bit of an advantage there. He's actually surviving for now, but we need 1 or 2 items on this Fiora, and then it's not going to look so good up in top lane.
Yeah, tilts later on. Worth noting, Huni is going for the reduced cooldown reduction masteries there, so it's only a 4-minute and 15-second, or actually a I forget the numbers. Either way, about a 4-minute TP timer instead of a 5-minute TP timer, and it means he's less gankable. It's already halfway back.
But also still getting the Krug wards up there. They just saw Karsa before that one went off, and so Peanut's still able to keep track of him.
So nothing happening just yet here as far as junglers are concerned. Gold is about equal. Peanut only up 30, so Karsa got an early gank off and has managed to keep up in farm. Credit to him for managing to keep his jungle afloat despite the early Lee Sin pressure.
Soon get level 6 for Faker here. He played this exact matchup in the LCK final against KT, and as soon as he hit that level 6 mark, well, he got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 million kills. I think it was about 1 million.
About 1 million is probably accurate. I want to point out a nice little thing that MMD did right there, which is he's stuttering his passive applications that Huni will hit riposte. And then once Repose comes through, then he goes in for the rooting auto attack. It gives him the shield, it gives him the extra damage, very useful.
Meanwhile, you can tell about the setup that SKT are making right now. Even though it seems calm, the vision is exploding around that mid lane. The vision keep mentioning Faker approaching that level 6, approaching the kill pressure. The vision is being set up, to make that play possible. Huni, though, is still the target up here.
We got seen. He just barely got seen.
Nice
The anchor skill's going to land. But Huni's fine with that one. Yeah, Karsa just barely snuck into vision. Unlucky move.
Really good for SKT. They survive early on here. No one falling to any ganks. 6 is now hit by Faker. Huni's getting there soon. He not even finds time to do Dragon, or started at least, because Karsa obviously showed on top side.
Also, he just popped the Scryer's Bloom on the top side, so Pina knows he's still up there another 10 seconds later, and he should be able to finish this one since his bottom lane is pushed in and the bottom lane has priority.
And even on top of that one, Infernal Drake is the easiest Drake to solo. It is as squishy as all the other non-mountain Drakes, has no extra single target damage like Cloud, and no slows like Ocean. So being at level 5 solo with just 2 long swords, very clean, nicely done, and that's going to start a solid early game for SKT.
And now once we get, further into this laning phase, we have to remember double teleport on the side of SKT. That's going to be dangerous.
It is going to be dangerous. Bottom lane will be one area that has to worry about that. And bottom lane already going very heavily in favor of Bang and Wolf, who definitely are higher rated just as a duo, but also in this matchup. And
as we talked about in Champs League, Flash was needing kind of to get ahead early on, because you have a 1-3-1 comp by SKT with double teleport, so it's extremely difficult for these team fighting comps to stop that if you fall behind, because 2 lanes are getting pushed in, you can't stop the split pushes, you try and force a fight in the mid lane, and they TP in on you. And they're already looking to get out of that bottom lane, rotate up top here with the duo, and try and pry open some space here around Huni. They are lane swapping without having a push in the bottom lane or top lane, so it's not a fast-paced lane swap where you rush down the enemy tower, because you can see now Twitch needs to actually take the wave from his own tower and push it forward. This will give SKT plenty of time to react and actually get to their bottom tower tier 1 first. They can even TP Huni down to this bottom lane and dive MMD or just take the tower. Exactly. The only thing is that Peanut will not be able to traverse that terrain, but Karsa has a red buff on Graves, which is tremendous turret killing power.
And it looks like the damage is going a little bit faster from the Flash Wolves side. It's a close one to be sure, checking out everywhere. And it seems like Flash Wolves is a little bit faster on the play. And because they brought the Graves in, because they orchestrated the entire situation, first turret gold goes to Flash Wolves, 350 bonus gold because of that. I'm actually sad Huni didn't just TP to the bottom lane. They could have taken that tower, given the full amount of gold to Huni, and then have him just sit bot lane and swap Bang and Wolf to the top side, because there is no Drake anyway. But Huni kept his teleport. He's now sitting top lane, looking at Flash Wolves push in this wave, and not really doing anything. Move is now rotation towards mid lane for SKT, while Huni, as you said, is trying to pick up CS here at the turret. It's a little bit dangerous, but most of the focus from Flash Wolves should be on getting that turret down, getting that gold. They can get for themselves turret down below half HP, and it's still just Huni alone. A new wave for SKT, not going to get as much damage as the other teammates did, and Wolf chunked up in inside a turret, but the kickback is there. Looking for the plays to be had. Nice knockups for MMD, but still taking out her first blood. Cannot defend that. You don't go for a kill in the 1v3. You go like Huni's trying to do and just go for the minions. Oof. Faker here using ulti as wave clear, just putting it there on the minion wave, so it dies. They now get the tower in the bottom lane. MMD, he just messed that up completely. Exactly. Complete opposite focus. You can see, as you mentioned, Faker and Huni are all about the minions, doing everything they can to clear out the minions. And even though MMD sees the perfect line onto Wolf, it's a 1 versus 3. What do you do after step number 1 of landing your hook? Do you always need a step number 2? Yes. Having step number 1 is if you don't have a step number 2, you are dead. Yeah. Severe mistake. Well, you need to tell him that. I like step number 1. Even another minor point is the Nautilus ulti will do full CC and damage on the targets it passes through. He didn't even target the Kog'Maw who was in range. He could have actually stunned up Bang, and maybe that one less auto attack is the reason he lives. It's close margins, but either way, bad execution by the Flash Wolves top laner gives away the kill and gives away the fact that that probably should have been 2 turrets to 2, not 2 turrets to 1 here. Yeah, should not subscribe to the step number 1 question mark profit like Deficio does. Feels good when you're doing step number 1. It feels good if you get to profit. That's great as well, yeah. You have to get past those question marks, though. Well, the Riddler's in the way. Batman not successful in this game. Right now, it's just about SKT holding their solid 1,600 gold lead now off of some miscues by MMD. And it's funny because Karsa, I believe it was, said, you know, MMD got focused. Don't worry, we fixed the problem. Your opponent's targeting you is not a problem. That's your opponent's exploiting a weaker player. And MMD actually is being a weaker player in this game, unfortunately.
Sadly for him, and it's been a story, you know, in the LMS as well. He's not regarded as one of the best top laners in the LMS region. While you can look at like Mabel Karsa, they're obviously looked at as the best jungle, mid duo, Sword Art in the bottom lane. It's always been at least in contention for best support, fighting against some of the other big names. But MMD is considered just kind of middle tier, and we've kind of seen that this tournament as well.
And the cost, you know, of focusing up on that top side has been that this Fizz has gotten through, you know, unattended to. So Faker, right? Well, he can't have any wave clear versus 5 people, but
a little bit. I don't know how good Fishes are at clearing waves. They can ride alongside them. Kick back on MMD, but Peanut gonna get stunned. He's gonna die for this one. Over-aggressive ulti for MMD. Probably gonna save the cooldown, but the kill comes through just the same.
I mean, if we're gonna criticize MMD for a 1v3 initiation, Peanut, he tried to do a fake there and ward hop to cancel, you know, the Q initiate, but then he stood around. So, you know, definitely some criticism for him as well. Booty looking to clean up though.
To make the big plays, only gets 2 of the vitals, so has to get pushed right back out. Ulti by Karsa to buy some distance.
Alright, so Flash Wolves got a kill, didn't get the mid lane tower, so in the end, actually successful move by Peanut in obviously sacrificing his life for the tower. Faker without ulti top lane though.
Let's see, Huni getting some damage on MMD, does not land the riposte.
This is a 4v3, but not a lot of dive potential, so I think Flash Wolves will be able to get out of that, you know, unscathed.
But SKT just want the tower now, because they know Betty's sitting bot lane. Let's see the play again. So Faker steps away to get a longer range on the fish to get more AoE from it. Peanut fakes and gets caught, but at this time here, you know, no one's actually hitting the tower. So yes, okay, it sucks to give up a kill, but
it did save the turret.
Yeah, exactly. You did actually defend your objective, and now you're back on the map.
Maybe it was the right play after all.
Maybe he had a step 2. Defend turret.
Yeah. Hey. Unlike MMD, the turret did stay alive.
It wasn't a juke. He was just trying to, you know, attract attention there and sacrifice his life.
He and the Wolf both playing frontline shields for the squad, apparently. Quick rib off, gonna go over to Karsa, no problem. Bang has been sitting topside. Ruin King done as a power spike. Betty just got his. He's recalled back to base, and he's now done freezing that bottom lane. Look at new lane assignments. Huni's sitting in the bot lane. Although with the Drake up, you'd rather have your TP be topside, generally speaking. Of course, Faker does have one, but he's walking up there now.
Yeah, and we also talked about you know, the Fizz getting really nice through this laning phase. Faker has his proto belt completed on top of, you know, the extra security of tenacity from his Merc Tread. So he's feeling just fine and ready to split push.
We already hit this point we talked about earlier, where if Flash Wolves do not manage to really create any sort of advantage, they need to now defend 3 lanes against double TP and 2 assassins or 2 split pushers. That is just so hard to do unless you run a ton of engagement. They have someone MMD, they have someone maybe if they land, maybe a long range stun, but they need the Nautilus to be with the team then, and then therefore you can't sit and defend in a side lane. Flash Wolves are looking at the next 5 to 6 minutes as the opening to try and force fights. If they don't manage to do that, the game's just going to run away from them.
And you can see how important the Rift Herald is in this 1-3-1 that SKT are setting up there. They're sacrificing the Mountain Drake to do it. They put all of their vision up on that top red quadrant of Flash Wolves to prep that Rift Herald for Faker in the side lane.
It's really funny because we're still playing on 7.8, right? The old Rift Herald where it buffs 1 person. I have never seen a tournament with so many Rift Herald takes than MSI this year. Coincidentally or not, where on the live servers, everyone's, oh, Rift Herald's easy to take and it's really powerful and it's very obvious. Like, everyone remembered Rift Herald existed, and when you're right, we should take that more often in pro games.
I mean, in this game here, it makes perfect sense. Again, you're running split push. You don't really want a team fight if you can avoid it, so that's why they don't want to contest the Dragon. Obviously, when G2 have been trying to take it, it's just actually been pretty bad calls. So,
sure. But they were playing some solo queue, and they're like, hey, this one's cool.
Yeah, let's get this one.
It is interesting. Either way, though, it is a game that SKT have been slowly grinding on a lead in. A couple of plays back and forth, but 2,000 gold. An arguably better Elemental Drake, and plus the Rift Herald on Faker, who can continue to split push to success. Top lane out are going to be attacked by a Bang. Should be going down, no problem. Flash Wolves hoping to find something else to do, maybe in bot lane.
Yeah, bottom lane or the mid turret. As we said, even though Peanut sacrificed his life and they didn't get it then, it was still heavily weakened. So that will be an option for Flash Wolves to attack. You can see in the jungle right now, Karsa's setting up vision for them in the bottom quadrant.
It's a good moment now for Flash Wolves, though, to try and make something happen. The problem is just they've been so behind when it comes to pushing out these lanes because they're respecting Fiora, they're respecting the Fizz, so they're not pushing bottom and top lane first. They're actually waiting for SKT to leave those lanes before Flash Wolves push them out. And that means now they're always like 5-6 seconds behind on a potential play, and that's why they don't get anything.
And I think this is a good time to talk about the history of why, Flash Wolves, they talked about being the Korean killers, how they got their victories over SKT in the past. So often it was about Karsa making the early moves and getting early momentum started in the game. This time, since he was so heavily tied up to the top side with MMD and they were unsuccessful at getting much out of Huni beyond his flash, they lost one of their biggest strengths that we've seen in these matchups.
I was actually looking at like gank numbers from the junglers. Karsa is the least active jungler when it comes to spending time with his lanes. He only spends time with Maple. Maple is fun enough the mid laner who spends the most time with his jungler previously. Obviously before today started. I don't know after the TSM game. But Karsa's not been going side lanes at all. He's not really ganking for his side lanes. And it just means that he often has like a lot of farm and he is strong individually. But then his bot lane is not really ahead and his top lane is far behind, and then the team overall is behind.
To be fair, this game he tried for the top lane and they didn't get much reward.
I guess he's not going back there. Like, I tried one game, I'm done.
We'll see if anything comes out of it later on. 3,000 gold now, the difference here. Of course, top lane outer falling as part of that one. SKT 3-0 in turrets, 2 bot lane, 1 top lane. Flash Wolves still able to get much else. They got the first turret off the early lane swap play around 6 minutes in. Maple getting chunked a bit, and Bang able to play the siege pretty nicely. Always respect the Kog'Maws who know how much to play up, how much to play aggressively, and actually go for these fights in the face of a Syndra, in the face of maybe a Tom Kench who can do a flash Q, and Bang's almost always right about what he can do.
That's very true, and normally you would play around Bang, in a game where he picks like this late game monster. But when you run this split pushing comp, he's actually not important. His job is to sit mid and push away. Like, that's literally his job right now. And then he's late game insurance in some way. Because it's the Fizz and the Fiora who's going to win the game for you by them just winning the 2 side lanes with double TP. And Bang's job is to not get caught.
What's interesting is defensively, Cog Lee Sin is not that great at wave clearing and defending turrets. If you do manage to group up and shove your side waves enough that you can go for the 5-man mid, like, you're supposed to be able to pull Faker and Huni back down. The wave clear in SKT is incredibly low. It's 4 melee and a Kog'Maw who's like a 4 out of 10 at that.
But the lack of like engage options for Flash was outside of basically Nautilus, who's stuck in the side lane, makes it actually very hard for them to force that engage. I kind of feel like I want to see them just commit to mid lane. Like, push up that mid and then force at least the mid tower.
Yeah, what I feel like is like a Tom Kench flank, a Nautilus ulti, a flash QE from Syndra. Like, there are tools, they just need to use them.
That's why we're so worried about the slow pace of this game, as SKT are slowly grinding out further and further pressure here, and they're taking over the map. You can see every single ward is in Flash Wolves territory if it's not in the river here. Like, there's an incredible amount of control that SK have accumulated over this lax period from Flash Wolves.
Yeah, and normally then when the enemy team is able to win like 1 or 2 lanes, you should be able to win the 3rd lane at least, and that's kind of where you can play around. Right now, all 3 lanes are getting pushed by SKT. So the only opening for Flash Wolves is kind of that all-in engage, and preferably around the mid lane.
This all-in's going to be hard. SKT have already set up wards for the next objective. They've lit up that eastern jungle with a bunch of blue colored wards. The blue team SKT wards are all up in that jungle, so they are set up to play for that side of the map. Now Betty opening up onto Faker, takes a fish to his face. Of course, there's a Tom Kench around, does dodge the shark. Nicely aimed there by Sword Art. And now it's just some mid lane fire, and you can see that it's both sides. Flash was running away.
That was actually a good offensive move from the Flash Wolves. They got the teleport cooldown out of Huni. At least one of those they don't have to worry as much about.
Now at the play to the mid lane is Faker going to be joining the squad. That Mini's going to be invincible, and that is turret number 4. SKT have gotten 4 straight unanswered turret kills.
And they should be able to transition very easily into this Drake. As you said, Freak, they already had the ward set up. Now with the turret going down, there's not really an area that Flash Wolves could mount their defense from.
And it's always beautiful to watch SKT just play like a split push comp, feel like it looks like they don't get pressured at all. It just looks like they know exactly what to do in every single lane, and they're just in full control. And that's obviously because they are one of the smartest teams in the world. But we see so many other teams also try and play this kind of comp. And the games get really messy. You know, a guy overextends in the side lane, he dies. The mid lane gets engaged on, they die, and suddenly it's one big team fight. But when you watch SKT play these split push comps, they're just controlling every lane.
And it's not like Flash Wolves aren't without the tools to do that. You know, they do have a Tom Kench, you know, a lot of mobility there. Here they go, though, grouping up around the mid lane.
It's what we asked for before. Just try and run down mid at this point here and just force that tower or engage with your Nautilus.
And what's almost incredible about this is SKT did like the 2 or 3 man Mountain Drake, the slowest of the Drakes to kill. It's the tankiest one. And yet there was still no mid lane pressure from Flash Wolves. And what's funny is, in a game that Flash Wolves wins, it looks explosive. They're team fighting all the time. They're getting these engages off. They're battling, and it's going to be a high kill game. If a game that SKT wins, nothing happens until the game is over. Because they're just split pushing you to death. They're better split pushing. Now Huni forced to run away. Here's the explosive fight that Flash Wolves are looking for. Good damage on Huni, and there we go. The first sign of life in about 15 minutes, and that will be the mid lane turret finally falling.
One player who played in EU and NA overextends and dies.
Ah, come on!
Because he went... Yeah, okay. All right.
The one guy. Everyone
Lane
else.
coma.
Well, Huni did die. Mid lane tower did fall. That was a small win for Flash Wolves.
Yeah.
We said earlier we needed to see them like preferably before the 20-minute mark, just like get that advantage.
Ooh,
Like this stun
really
there.
early repose.
Yeah, it was that, and that's the reason, you know, Maple was able to get off this stun there, so they get the chase down. This was a low turret already, and it is something that's good, that's back for Flash Wolves. It's not going to be the monumental comeback quite yet. It's definitely something that could help fuel it though.
Absolutely, we'll see if more can happen here. MMD is starting to move towards magic resist itemization. Sunfair Cape needed to be done for his matchup against Huni, but now he's got to worry about a Fizz later on, and even a Kog'Maw who is about 55-45 magic to physical based on his build.
Flash Wolves are really scared of Faker right now. Hexstringer for Kaza, the Bissell Scepter rushed by Mabel as well. I feel like they're going a little bit too heavy on the MR side. Obviously you have to respect Bang a little bit as well, but there's a lot of physical damage on the side of SKT you also have to look at.
I would say it's really only Huni who's like more physical than Magic though. Peanut's not going to do insane amounts, and it's Bang is more Magic and Faker is all Magic, of course.
Oh, Fish goes wide, but it still goes in.
Looking for the tight fight onto Faker. A couple of shots come through from Bang, not too much out of him. And to disengage.
Back to the builds though, for Bang specifically here. We talked about this was a Kog'Maw comp without the extra shields. You know, it is a Kog'Maw comp that's a 1-3-1, you know, with flimsy solo laners here. He's building fairly tanky. You know, he's got a Hexdrinker, he's got the Ninja Tabi, as well as two of the more tanky-ish offensive items, and going for the Trinity Force next. So this is a Kog'Maw that also you get so tanky that you're kind of incorporating even your passive into Kog'Maw's kit. So like, if they do dive the Kog'Maw,
That's the next step.
he's taking, exactly, he is kind of tanky, and he's still putting out the DPS, but then, even if you do kill him, he's gonna explode with 2 damage, and you have these super damaging solo laners to worry about.
And he's building like his Aurelia. Right? Like I've seen Jax and Aurelia's build this way, and it's like, yeah, they need a front line, and they get some durability items. And Kog'Maw's like, I have 700 range. I'm built the same way. It's like, okay.
If you don't take me down, I continue to put out my DPS. If you do,
If you focus me, Faker probably kills you. Maybe Huni will kill you.
Yeah.
That's so much damage on the side of SKT.
All right, they don't need Bang. It is very different from like a G2 Kog'Maw composition where it is more about him. So we can see what else can happen here. Gold lead 3.8 thousand for SKT. They're up the Infernal Drake, which is about 1,000 worth as well. And they can keep moving on forward here in this one. 24 minutes in. Quick yelps out of the Pugmaw. Cannons! Okay, Wolf gets it. That's fair. I don't know why I keep doing sound effects on a cast.
I mean,
I was a
bald eagle the other
especially
day.
because you set yourself up for that one, and then you deliver it as well.
I mean, I don't trust you to set me up for the dog sounds. It's a bit out there. I had to make sure to cut the full circle.
Let's get back to the split push game here for SKT as Huni is going up the bottom side. And he's got one more wave until he does get to inhibitor turrets. That's pressure that you have to react to as Flash Wolves. And just because of that, it's going to allow SKT to move in and kind of undo a lot of that vision work that Flash Wolves just tried to put down around Baron.
Yeah, the professional teams, they always talk about windows or openings, you know, when
Doghouses.
Doghouse, they don't talk about that very often, but they do talk about the fact that when you push out a wave in a side lane, you can then leave first, you can roam first, you don't
Baron
have to use the
houses.
teleport. They're now taking the Baron down as well. No one from Flash is around, and yet SKT respect the fact that Kaza walked over one ward.
Yeah, I mean, we expected them to take all the vision away from Baron, but they actually didn't do a lot of that cleaning, and there's a lot still left from Flash Wolves, so they won't be pressured quite yet, but you can see exactly the game plan from SKT, and that's going to be them returning to this game plan. The pressure on the bottom from Huni, they're going to get the sideways pushed out, then you feint at Baron, you either get a pick there, or you can actually complete it.
What's going to happen? 4,000 gold still remains the difference. It's been going up and down a few hundred at a time, but it has still been mostly SKT in the lead. Faker still holding on to that Rift Herald buff. About 10 minutes left on it. Hasn't made any major pushes forward. It's been SKT using their 1-3-1 to get minion wave control, map control, and as you guys are mentioning, the play around the neutral objective. Second Infernal Drake coming up soon, and if they take it down quickly enough, there will be another Elemental Drake spawning before the Elder comes through, and likely going to SKT all the way through.
It's been a boring Faker game because Flash Wolves have not tried to actually force anything with their comp, so SKT have not really been in a situation where they needed to fight and actually make plays.
SKT are making gains in this game. That's why they aren't forced into any, unnecessary moves right now. They're happy to take advantage after advantage. They're gaining more map territory. They're gaining more Drakes. Another Infernal these are great spawns for them. They don't have to take action and change the course of the game because it's going their way.
Infernal definitely one of the best at closing the game out. We'll see what the third one is soon enough. Hover over on my own screen. Looks like the final one will be a second Mountain Drake. So either Flash will go second or SKT gets a second. Quick fight in the bot for Eastern Jungle, and it means nothing. MMD, of course, very tanky. Spirit Visage done, and again, it is going to be a slow game of SKT just stacking up permanent buffs and waiting to close the game out at 40 minutes or something.
So Flash Wolves did set up 2 wards now behind the river. Now one just got killed by Braum. There's one here near the blue buff from SKT. If Flash Wolves are ever going to get the fight we are talking about, it's a ward like this one they can use to teleport on. If SKT are like starting a Baron, or like now, the ward is right there, they should actually go for it.
And they were starting actually, Peanut had warded over the wall hoping to bait someone to kill it. When Karsa came in, he's like, let's go for the fight, didn't quite get it.
Yeah, problem of course is Huni is already pushing already at the tower. So if you TP away and look for a fight, you might get a kill, and he might take your inhib. So it's always tricky, but at some point you have to just try and go for it and see if you can then get a Baron after.
Exactly, the reason you have to make that call to Fischio, the scaling is coming through. Fiora is at the 2 items. From here on out, it's not even fair for MMD.
It might get worse over time. Peanut now slinking around the top side of the map. Ward control still the objective. SKT back and forth around this Baron, but they know no Drakes for 5 minutes. Means the only objective worth fighting for is that Baron. They're not looking for the mid lane or the top lane tier 2 with only one ranged champion. Sieging is not their game plan. And it's just wards over and over.
Yeah, and if SKT keeps being lazy with the Baron setup in terms of actually buying control wards and killing the wards from Flash Wolves, then we will have that opening for MMD, but it might just be one chance. And if you fail that one chance, if you don't actually win that fight, well then the game is over. Because SKT didn't know they can keep chilling and just keep scaling. Vegas already in base, shopping. No one in solo queue take any note of this. This is not what you're supposed to do. Always look at your character first. There we go.
Takes the 3-second late recall for that one. I gotta point something out though. We talk about late game scaling, Huni getting huge, and I agree Fiora is gonna be a nightmare late game. But Betty's Twitch is supposed to be very good as well. With how defensive Bang is building, with the Hex Drinker, with the Trinity Force, which is not a good third item for damage output, Twitch should outscale, but he went Lord Dominus Regards against a 0-tank team. There's like 12 bonus armor on Wolf right now. You don't get anything out of the armor shred. Yeah, there's a Zonia's, yeah, there's Dead Man's Plate. Like, there is some, but Infinity Edge is so much more damage for not that much more gold on someone like Twitch. I would much rather have something that lets him kill through a Fiora, kill through... He'll still do more damage to Twitch with an Infinity Edge. Like, I just really dislike this item build from him.
Yeah, the setup for Flash Wolves, though, the kind of more secure team fight that you're talking about, that's why Deficio keeps bringing up this one chance where if they're able to get MMD to teleport in and force the fight, they do have the capability of actually taking that.
Yeah, now SKT went back. They got all the control wards. They killed all the wards in the river near the Baron. So Flash Wolves no longer have a ward to actually TP onto. And I actually agree with you, Freak, here when you talk about like the Twitch late game and the potential for Flash Wolves. Like, I think a 5-on-5 team fight, if they're engaging properly, they can win at any point in the game.
Sure.
Problem is getting the proper 5-on-5 when you're against obviously full split push. But I 100% agree. They can still win that team fight if they get it.
But SKT don't want to let that one happen. They're going to go for the Baron to try to split them up yet again. Fiora still splitting as Nautilus means not a lot of tank stats here for Flash Wolves. They do have Sword Art to front line. but he's not in just yet. Huni's still nipping at the front. But that pool floaty doesn't do a whole lot of damage to a Nautilus. He was born in the water. You simply float on top of it. Looks like nothing going to happen down in the bot lane. Betty's still farming. Level 15 on him. Does have a level lead over Bang as he's been getting more of the split push farm. Scryer's Bloom coming across. Faker spotted on a ward, and similarly, Flash will have that to defend him in the top side.
I just keep looking at those single wards they get to place near the Baron as the one ward that can win them the game.
The saviors.
They got it now. It's right there. It's outside of the control ward range right now.
Are you the one? Top River Ward? Are you the one?
I believe it could be. Oh, let's see though.
It could be this one. Faker wants in onto Maple. Here comes Tom Kench to eat him in time. He's going to be okay with this one. Faker exhausted down to 1200 HP, but he's taken a couple of summoner spells out of the pool. Both Maple's barrier and the exhaust are now flash away from Sword Art as well. 2 summoners down for that.
Huni actually got on the tower. I think he was trying to...
He had ulted and gone for a trade.
Yeah.
And he traded equal against MMD.
Because he's barely actually hit the tower, so Flash Wolves are still stalling, waiting for the one true ward that will win them the game.
Yeah. Bloodthirster might be enough for Huni to ignore turrets against MMD. There's going to be some bit of a race for lifesteal versus tank stats. Can you out-lifesteal the turret damage back at you? Armor will reduce the amount of healing you get back, and that's somewhat of a thing to look for. But Huni, who has been out-farming, who is a level ahead, I think he's ahead in that race.
Exactly. Well, the way that you replenish your health pools is fairly equidistant for these guys. Huni, as you say, is going back to that wave. He lifesteals almost immediately off of one wave back up to full. While as MMD, he runs all the way back to the fountain, tries to take a drink, then tries to get all the way back to that turret. And they're getting there at about the same time.
Yeah.
That's currently why they're at the stalemate.
At this point, though, with double teleport, SKT actually don't have to just fight 1v1 in the bottom lane. They could send Faker down and just 2v1 dive MMD and then take tower.
Or something that I really actually enjoy is trailing your split pusher with your other teleport. You don't even have to teleport in on the other guy.
Yeah, just run to the lane and join him, and then go for the kill, take the tower. If Flash Wolves reacts by rushing Baron, you have double TP. If Flash Wolves reacts by running to stop you at the inhibitor, well, you again have double TP and can just rush Baron with Bang and Wolf.
Also, a Fizz plus Fiora can definitely pull off that dive, even on a full tank Nautilus.
Nautilus only has 2 health items. That Frozen Heart coming in is going to help against Huni, but not at all against Faker.
Still there, the one ward.
Are you the chosen one that Prophet Deficio told up? Here goes Faker.
Faker, good damage there. Shark's not going to mean too much for him. Now here comes the push back in. Faker jumps away. He's going to go from the stun. And look out for the damage on a Betty. The flash stun's going to come through. Couple more hits will do it. The true shot barrage. Not even what it's called, but he gets the kill anyway. Living artillery it is. And Peanut gets a little bit done. And there's the tower dive. Bloodthirster done. Huni gets the solo kill. And the game has finally broken apart. SKT kills on 2 sides of the map.
And they just waited and waited and waited. BT completed, as you highlighted, Freak. It was enough for Huni to then kill MMD. Now he gets the inhib as well. And we kept talking about Flash Wolves having to force something to try and win this game, and they just didn't.
And, I mean, we do have to go over how beautiful that escape from Faker was, because that was a decent attempt at a force. Huni is now the one. See if he can escape in as beautiful a manner as Faker did.
Ooh, riposts the ulti damage and flashed over a lot of it. He gets away with it.
This is what it really hinges on. You talk about teams trying these comps and failing Deficio. When you have Faker up on the top side on Fizz, pulling escapes like that, and you have Huni getting solo kills, diving, and then still being able to deal with the 2-man collapse. These are how they're able to pull it off. Here goes Huni on the initial dive. He's chasing around the vitals. MMD can't find anywhere to hide.
Just runs out of health way too fast. Doesn't even get the 4th vital. Doesn't matter. Gets one with the basic attack and then goes in, launches onto the turret with the ulti. Damage is simply too high for him. And it's never going to get better for MMD. It gets worse from here. Hex Shrinker now in for Huni. Even more immune to MMD's damage. And here we go, double Mountain Drake, just to make sure it all is going to happen. Of course, we know the Baron was already taken. SKT in complete control here. 9,000 gold up. They've got 4 Drakes, all the good late game ones in their inventory here.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, then SKT has been ahead in this game for like 31 minutes or something, because they got that early gold advantage. And Flash Wolves has not had a single moment in this game actually really trying to force a play on SKT. They got 1 kill on Huni mid that gave them a mid tower. And that's been about it. We kept talking about the scaling of the split pushes and how it was up to the team fighting combo Flash Wolves to make that TP play. They had the ward, but sadly they've already pushed in. So They couldn't actually leave at that point because they were already behind.
Here comes the attempt. They want to get Wolf here on this one. Nice knock up across 3. The entire Flash Wolves team is here, and no one's able to get any damage. Bang just free firing on the back line. The quick anchor in. Here comes the for the heal. Keeps the back line alive, and now Faker's in the fight. He's going to kill off Betty. That's one down already. Looking for Maple, now is Peanut. The attack on the Wolf. They will knock him down. 1-for-1 so far. Sword Art buys a bit of time. Peanut low, but not down on this one. The team cutting back, and Faker finding a second kill. That's 2 already. Carson to re-engage. Looks for Bang. Gets him. It's a trade. The passive and using Hooney would rather fight than close the game out. It's a true KDA player. Full NA style. Hooney as Faker goes for his 3rd kill of the fight. Hooney wants number 4.
Hey, buddy.
And he's going to knock him down. Faker with 3 kills. 1 picked up as well for Hooney. That's going to be the game. Just to add insult to injury, a 12-kill game. SKT in control for 95% of it. 5-0 undefeated in the first round robin.
Barely challenged in this game, I think it's safe to say.
Yes.
SKT in full control, like the bigger man phase with the Fizz coming in, the flexed. Fiora top lane, of course, was a risk, but I guess with good scouting, knowing MMD couldn't really take any sort of carry matchups, MMD just sacrificed himself on Ultras.
It was so interesting to watch Hooney as well, because at the beginning, they're going with what Flash Wolves expected. You know, punish MMD, you know.
Do you keep up with the fact that G2 and TSM are sitting on 3 wins themselves?
And I love these evolutions. In a meta where it was always Caitlyn, Varus, Ashe. You know, pick 1, maybe ban 2, and you get the edge. Twitch kind of emerged in these protected carry comps, and now Twitch stayed even when the when the protection kind of faded away. Now they're just early banning Twitch here against SKT. Do not want to deal with the unpredictability once Bang starts roaming in an open map.
Yeah, do not want to give that over, even though Betty played it in the last time they matched up against SKT. Definitely understand the ban. They're trying to get rid of any type of split push threat that Hooney would have. Fiora and Kennen banned away.
Maybe they want to go back to the Kled and say, well, Fiora counters it, but what if we ban it, pick the Kled? Now what, Hooney?
You'll have some.
Yeah, there's still the shed that that I think you expect was it pulled out right there.
Yep.
You see?
Plenty of split push was available. It was Fizz and Kog'Maw that Faker and Bang played last time these teams met. One final ban to come through, and usually cannot ban out all possible fighters and all possible assassins. Gragas taken away from MMD, and now we get to see what's going to happen here. Gragas, one of the better fighters of the tanks. As far as handling the 1v1, Karma comes through.
Yeah, pretty obvious first pick here with 1 shielding support banned away. Lulu is gone. Now they can trade junglers.
Yeah, this is where meta-wise you would expect Graves 80 carry, and then it's all up to preferences. But for telecom, why not just pick a jungle here for Peanut's Lee Sin?
Yeah, Peanut has been putting on an absolute display on Lee Sin. Was undefeated on it domestically, but they don't need to play Lee Sin every day if they have a composition in mind. Graves and Lee Sin are fairly interchangeable based on preference, and if they think Karsa's Graves is stronger than Karsa's Lee Sin, then they're going to take Graves away.
Bold Hooney Rumble pick, especially into what could actually be, as much as we joke about it, the Kled, because it's a fine matchup, especially if you can have Karsa visit there early. He said in the interview that Karsa doesn't go top. He has done it in the finals versus AHQ. He went there with Lee Sin.
If I was Flashers, I would pick Lee Sin Kled right here, just because they're almost absolute certainty they can get the Rumble. They've been able to play Kled. It's something that can play more to the meta. Lock in Lee Sin. We'll see what the last one is.
You got to get your top laner here if you're Flash Wolves, because otherwise you'll get double squeezed and it'll be even harder.
It's really interesting because you can go for Fizz, which is a similar situation. It's even a flex pick. You can maybe give it to Maple and look for a different matchup. Maybe you can pad that pool a little bit here. The question is, how much can you trust MMD to play a split pusher against Hooney? You expect Hooney to win the lane, and then you've got to be able to do something with the more extended map. Carson's got to give him some warding support at some point. Not that they can't do it, but it's going to be hard.
I think Freak brings up a good point here, though, in the ability to flex this Fizz, especially when you're playing against Faker. You may deny him the early Syndra, maybe he plays into you anyways. But at least remove some flexibility in the draft from SKT.
And it confuses the bans a little bit. You don't want to ban a top laner or a mid laner here, and prevents a pinch if there is one. They can still pick the Kled later, but it's not worth it to ban. I want to point out the Nami pick, though. Wolf, probably the best Nami in the world right now, is still a good laner into Karma. So being able to play Nami at this level allows you to kind of give 1 shielding support over and still have a good support on your side.
It always has been considered kind of the pseudo counter pick to Karma, and that is why they were willingly leaving it open. It is no surprise that the Flash Wolves pick Karma first rotations. SKT had the answers ready. This is all pretty planned out in their regard.
I want to put out the Thresh ban coming through from SKT, though maybe they didn't know what they wanted to ban in the first place, but considering that Karma's already been picked, I guess they're respecting the fact that maybe Maple goes for Karma mid, and there's still a support left up, thinking about what might be good into Nami otherwise. And with double flex pick, it certainly could be a possibility. Caitlyn now off the table as well. We'll see who gets grabbed.
Yeah, I wonder. Maybe an early Varus is what ended up being left open. Varus Nami into Ashe Karma. I feel like you could punish that pretty well, but even if you play the opposite, Ashe Nami into Varus Karma, sure, all playable.
Yep, skill matchup as it is.
Yeah, it's
we'll see what kind of style they play.
Just keeping Betty away from the safe ADs here. Ashe and Varus, while they can be long range, do not have the dashes to get away.
Yeah, and that forces it pretty well too. You know, Huni playing the Rumble with the Equalizer, very good against these static 80 carries. It doesn't matter whether it's a Varus or an Ashe. Like, the Caitlyn could at least 90 caliber out the Equalizer and contribute to the fight.
I really like this Echo Band because with Fizz picked up and Echo Band away, it sets up a really easy Syndra take for Maple. You assume Fizz goes top, Karma goes support. He gets to blind the Syndra with most of the counter picks not available at all for Faker to pick. He's got to go somewhere else with it. There is the Varus picked up as you predicted. Good call on that. We'll see what comes in next.
I mean, it was a 50-50. You saw him hover both, so
sure.
I do like the Varus a little bit more because I think it lanes slightly more aggressively into the Ashe. It allows you to leverage Nami's poke sustain just that little bit more, especially on the caliber of a Bang & Wolf lane.
Yeah, it's always difficult to lane against Bang & Wolf. Betty and Sword Art not having the best tournament. I think I agree with Freak here. The Syndra could very well come through.
It's the downside of flexing so heavily on blue side. You got to reveal eventually. Going up against Faker. I do like the draft here overall from the Flash Wolves.
There's a lot of really cute synergies. I really do like how a lot of this went through. And now, yeah, Orianna, typically a bad matchup into Syndra, but it's still one of his best champions, and it fits the lineup. It's a lot of AoE, a lot of crowd control. They can jog pile area effect damage down.
Look, when your shockwaves are about 10 or 20% bigger than anybody else's, you just pick Orianna every single time.
Faker willing to do it, and has always been willing to do it. He'll play all this stuff. He'll throw out the Master Yi mid, only have the Olaf counter pick to Aurelia like he has had at past international tournaments. But here, just pick the Orianna. At any point, Faker is a huge threat on him.
And then we start tallying up the pushing lanes here. Rumble has the push on Fizz early on, but Fizz always had that kill pressure if Karsa can visit. It's a good thing about Lee Sin as well. He tends to do well, even if he has to gank lanes that are already pushing in, can surprise in multiple angles, ward dashes here. It is crucial, though, that Karsa gets a good early game, and that is also what propelled them forward domestically so often, a little visit here and there.
Yeah, and the Fizz can do very well into Rumble. We've seen it before. Huni plays up so often, and if Flash Wolves is willing and trying to adapt to the way this tourney is played, this is the path forward.
And I think the top side of the map is where you play right now for Flash Wolves. Maple, one of the few millionaires who I think can stand up against Faker as far as a 1v1 matchup, especially with champions considered. And we do think that Karsa is a great jungler as well and can match up against Peanut.
Let's start painting the dream then. Early gank top by the Lee Sin, gets him ahead, and then pair up with Syndra, push in on level 6, go top again, camp the hell out of Huni while your bot lane hopefully sustains and survives, and you don't run into that Peanut guy. That has to be the strategy for Flash Wolves here.
SKT don't have any guaranteed crowd control on the bot side. You can flash the bubble, you can flash the Varus ulti. That bot lane from Flash Wolves can push, and if the Graves shows up, they can get away with it most likely. We'll see if that can happen here. Flash Wolves down but not out, absolutely looking to get a revenge win over SKT and keep that LMS Pool 1 hope alive. And here we go into the game. SKT 6-0, hoping to close out the last 4. Flash Wolves hoping to keep pace with the rest of the top 4.
Yeah, Huni right now, 10-0 on this Rumble, including 3 games at MSI. Definitely a comfort pick, and that is only this year. And historically, he's played his champion so often. He definitely mastered it by now.
Yeah, and pay attention to the amount of pressure that Huni applies on the map in this game. I was looking at the forward percentage stats earlier, and that's the percentage of time you're above halfway in between 0 and 15 minutes, so still in the early game. Huni is on the enemy side of the map 40% of the time, which is absolutely absurd for any laner, but he's been making it work so far at MSI.
Especially considering, like, when you recall, you're forcibly on your side of the map for about 40 seconds. You have to walk back for the most part. And definitely an aggressive player. We'll see if that does get punished. Peanut right now, just chilling in his own jungle. Nice poke right there from Bang.
Quite a few pundits were looking at the WPM, wards per minute from SKT as well, seeing significant decreases on everybody except Peanut, because Peanut's playing so much Lee Sin, obviously. And part of what has to do with it is just that they don't have to base this often. They're winning so hard and they're not getting pushed as hard. Like when SKT faced off against KT or any other strong Korean teams, they were challenged and at least had to match a lot of bases here to get the right times and slowly bleed out their opposition. But in these games, they can lane very often for very long times.
Yeah, interesting start as well here, invading for an early blue buff steal.
What it can achieve, potentially, is force the map into vertical jungling, and if you have to protect a losing matchup like the Fizz, and your bot lane is fine with sustain, it's actually going to mean that Karsa, even if he wants to go top, can't do it efficiently.
Yeah, and looking at this start from Karsa, does not get a good pull whatsoever from Maple. Syndra actually backs away because Faker had gone missing in the mid lane, so right off the bat, you can see Flash was already getting dictated to by SKT.
Yeah, there's 2 camps on the Graves, 1 camp on the Lee Sin right now, and we're only just started.
Heck, it's only half a camp. He didn't even finish the large draft. Sure, he gets level 2. Sure, he gets 60, 50 gold out of it, but it's still not ideal.
Yeah, and we've seen this go wrong before. I mean, Flashers know that the blue has been stolen, so you feel a big pressure to get the enemy blue to prevent a 3-buff. And oftentimes the Graves will kind of rush over to that side, so you can see all these things the Flashers is doing to try and secure the blue buff. But really, Peanut's having a field day. He cleared 2 camps, he took his time, and now he gets to full clear his vertical side.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a simple macro move where you're essentially not doing anything tricky. You're just hitting a camp, a minion that you would hit anyways, somewhere else on the map, and you get a big advantage. Karma had to roam up to assist Karsa right there. They're losing lane pressure, which means Bang is not getting traded out of some CS. You know, it all kind of adds up right there.
Of course it does. Peanut is exactly 1 full camp ahead. They've taken 1 buff, 2 buffs. It's just rough stuff right now, of course. Level 3 versus level 2. It's a big lead for Peanut. Carson trying to keep up as best he can.
That's the nature of this Lee Sin Graves matchup. It's all about pacing, clear times, call it what you want, you know. If Graves fast clears, Lee Sin has to do a couple camps and then get some ganks for true efficiency. And I would see Jat's favorite thing.
Control the blast cone.
Gotta care about the blast cone.
Bottom lane and in top lane. Fizz actually does it really easily because you can just pull over the wall and hit it, but Huni very consistently does this. Notice on the other side, blast cone hasn't been controlled. Peanut would have an opportunity to a gank if Flash was continuing to push up.
He's waiting for them to push up again, obviously respecting the counter gank. Also doesn't wait around too long. The wave is in the right spot, you know what? Wait for 4 seconds, is a jungle there? No, base immediately, you know, keep up the efficiency.
And worth noting, of course, these players can usually call out when Sword Art or Betty leaves lane to go put a ward down. You say, hey, he didn't push up at the turret with his teammate. He probably went over to go ward that. If you satchel, it's not going to do anything for you, don't bother. And you see Peanut stays on the other side of the wall and recalls safely. Now, this game is equal in gold, so despite the fact that there has been a significant out-jungling, I would say, from Peanut in the very early game, the gold basically neck and neck. Mid lane equal, bot lane equal, top lane equal as well.
And we immediately see something that the Flashers do well, though. 2 control wards, 3-5 minutes already in the inventories. These guys love combining control wards to get areas of fog of war that they then use to either put pressure on the map or just generate picks where they hide in the fog of war.
Yeah, far and away the most control wards of any team here at MSI. Maple actually buys on average 10 control wards per game, which is more than double that of any other mid laner. So that can be a path to victory. Hasn't worked out great for them so far.
Scar's actually placing a TP ward right there. Oh, Bang is super low.
Saved on a summoner heal, gonna land the Q. Karsa, I think, predicted a flash, predicted a juke, and Bang didn't do it, just hits the summoner heal. He's gonna be fine on that one. Some pressure bot lane, but that's a flash down for Karsa.
Man, the sidestep confidence there from Bang, and also not healing at first, so he gets a little bit of move speed from his heal, gets the flash out of Karsa. Not a good trade they took in lane, but he's still up on CS, and now they're gonna go for a dive. MD wants out of there.
He has to actually summoner TP away from the gank, and Peanut didn't have enough auto attacks left to kill him off.
Oh, imagine if he had a red buff trailing there. That would be insult to injury right there. And again, we talked about it, how this Fizz matchup is great into Rumble with the early gank. That was the dream we were painting, and in a simple strike early on, the vertical jungle forces the gank to be on the bottom side, but it fails here. This is the hesitation, or like the difference between a montage moment and honestly a fluke.
Yeah, absolutely trying to predict the flash to the other side of the turret. A lot of players, when Lee Sin flashes over the wall, thinking, I got to flash through right away, but prediction goes wrong. Bang ends up healing and actually not really juking, he was just on his side of the turret.
He stopped moving, at least something.
Can't get the stun into Faker. You saw Faker running up and left just enough to not line up with Maple's E. And that gank's not going to happen. Ghost is down, of course.
And this is the difficulty when you're trying to research matchups. You can't open a Faker Frog. I mean, you just can't. He'll always be at least even CS in losing matchups, or he'll be ahead randomly, and it's just so hard to see.
He's League of Legends' best player and has been for years on end, basically. And everyone knows to respect him, respect his prowess, and any choice he makes, every mid laner in the world goes, maybe I should try that too. They'll always try. Everyone knows this man knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Flash Wolves has played against SKT for about as long as any team would have. Maple, Karsa, and Sordar actually played against SKT in the 2013 Worlds quarterfinals as the Gamma Bears, but trade in the mid lane.
Big trade at that. Faker nearly taking down Maple. Mana pool low enough, but watch out. He's got 100 just now. He can't QR or do much else.
That's Flash.
Can Maple get the chase? He has Flash himself, but didn't have mana for the Q to follow up, I believe, so can't go for any more.
Makes you wonder why Sordar did not elect to trade his Flash for Faker.
Yeah, if you Flash exhaust, Faker must Flash away.
And even then, there's a chance you could get the kill afterwards because Maple would have undodgeable skill shots on the way through. I agree with that. I think that should have been a Flash for Sordar.
Then again, maybe he's just like, Faker without Flash, can't play safe, I don't want to overextend. I don't need the guy that ints because I used my Flash somewhere else. You know, it's so hard.
Flash into Faker because the Shockwave has the threat.
Oh, here comes the fish when he puts the ulti down. Layers it pretty beautiful. The kick to get him off, and that's going to be the kill picked up. Why did Huni even bother flashing? First blood to Karsa.
Flash has been the story of this day. Betty, though.
Speaking of flashing, why not actually hit the button, Betty?
Yeah, is this the best Nami in the world, or is this Betty not flashing in time?
It's not flashing in time. There is no reason you do not flash that bubble. Huge mistake out of Betty.
You definitely don't flash after. Uses both summer spells, still falls, and the advantage that Flash Wolves has gained in the top lane ends up being traded for an SKT advantage at the bot side.
But MND is still in the game here. He gets the early Sheen. Potentially, he needs to leave his mark here. Maybe Maple can get some pressure mid and roll up top. That is the win condition right now for the Flash Wolves. Let's watch this again.
Yep, Huni had cleared the blast cone, but Lee Sin can just board jump over the wall. Late flash, nice secure right there by Karsa. Watching the other side.
He has so much time. There's no way you outrun that. It's not even close.
Already slowed by the Nami E. Varus just auto-attacking straight away. Great combo by SKT when they knew that Sordar wasn't going to be there, and it has to be either Betty farther back in the first place, just wait for the wave to crash against the turret, or Flash. They're getting handled in that bottom.
They are 900 gold advantage out for SKT, and that's with the fact that Flash Wolves got first blood. So there's 1,000 extra gold worth of farm so far in this game, and it's clearly not in the top or mid lane. Rough stuff. Bang and Wolf pretty securely League of Legends' best bottom lane right now. And certainly some are mistakes, but handling their opponents.
And that's what they need to do. Punish. Whenever the support goes missing to help people deal with Faker, they will get a lead in the bottom lane. Whenever somebody goes missing or roams to deal with Huni, Faker and Bang and Wolf will take it up there. That is what SKT is so strong at. You can only attack the parts, but the sum generally tends to get ahead.
Yeah, and you just have to think about the dynamics of the team. Faker has the massive reputation, but Bang was the player who had the most DPM of any player in the LCK this year, and he really has been the star player. Here comes another combo.
Lots of damage on to Betty, who chooses to stun the Nami and just dies for the CC chain. Beautiful ultimate from Bang. Beautiful layering by Wolf. Art in the bot lane here for SKT.
That is just utter beauty. Bang with the wall shot. He hides slightly around the wall, probably in fog of war right there as the minions were approaching. Gets a straight line on the Betty. And then Wolf just did the math right there. Wave into Flash Bubble. This is just synergy at its finest. And they were actually, there was a Reddit comment. I can't vouch for the validity of the quote, but they were asking why Bang and Wolf don't play duo queue anymore. Well, they've played over 5,000 games together anymore. They don't even need to do this. And also, Betty, he was trying to find Bang. Found him.
Oh man, he did. That's not the way you want to fight.
That's unlucky.
Unlucky.
Just really excellent play, of course. Not a lot of places you get to hide anymore. Betty now the butt of the joke. The recipient of a lot of damage now. SKT's bottom lane has certainly done well for themselves.
40 CS down.
Yeah. Flash wants to find their advantages elsewhere. They got the counter pick at mid. That's not working. They got the counter pick top lane. They're trying to make it happen.
Yeah, I can't speak of this out of experience, but you must go down 40 CS once in a while, Freak. What do you do?
Keep feeding. Is how it works for me. It's very hard to come back with the fact that SKT can force the fights is the problem, right? If Graves shows up, you're just dead if you're on your turret. It's such a difficult situation to be in, and SKT can leverage that repeatedly. The fact that summoners are still down for Betty, no heal, no flash. It's a source of gold. It's a mine just waiting to get a pickaxe.
Oh man, that lane is so out of control right now. And interestingly enough, Flash Wolves would want to play towards the top side of the map. Still, Huni's flash has been down. Karsa yet to make a repeat attempt and is worried about that bottom turret just because of the amount of gold that can go over and how Bang can take over the game.
And Huni has developed in a very good defensive player as well when the situation needs him to be. So Flash Wolves, they're trying to patch out up this bottom side here with the Lee Sin presence constantly lingering for a counter gank, and Huni is just giving respect where it's due. Now he's even roaming to mid lane. Maple's leaning so far to the left that he may actually get surprised. He backs off.
Nice, no pin on Maple just yet. Had a bit of action in mid lane, but nothing really permanent so far. See if Flash can get back to the top side. Ignite is back for MMD. Huni's still missing his flash, but only for a few more seconds. This means, like, that flash timer is a timer of how long it's been since Karsa's last gank top lane. It's a flashless Rumble that is tower diveable. It's a very switch champion, and it's been 4 minutes since anything.
And the way pressure cascade is really fascinating. Huni moved to mid lane, allowing Faker to trade ultra aggressively, which Maple then read is like, okay, Rumble's missing, I'm gonna yield. That actually prompted an invade for Peanut to then steal away the Raptors, and because Karsa's been hugging bot side for so long, these two camps on his left side, these Wolves and Grump, has been up for absolute ages. I don't think Karsa has actually farmed a camp in well over a minute and a half.
Yeah, he had the experience lead, but Peanut is very close to a full level ahead of him if he can get just another camp, probably get that off of Raptors. And even pacing-wise, he's not going to beat him to top lane anymore at this point either.
Flash back off cooldown the full 5 minutes, didn't have mastery for it. Peanut just doing the farm right now. Gets revealed by a hawk shot. At least Flash Wolves knows where he is, but if they can even use that information is an entirely different situation. Faker going to play for control wards. Doesn't see any. It's okay, it's clear. I can walk top if I want to.
And I wonder if it's worth for Flash Wolves to actually swap out of his bot lane. Just go top and look for like a 3-man dive on the Rumble. The problem is when you do that against a top lane champion that can burn the wave like Equalizer, you lose too much tempo. So they're so gridlocked in their current situation.
Yeah, unless they can pull off the dive right away on the Rumble, then maybe that pays off. But MMD is supposed to be winning the matchup, and if you put him into a 1v2, Fizz is terrible in 1v2s compared to a Rumble. It's not a great trade if they can't get the kill for it.
Yeah, they have to almost go for like the split map dive, right? Where Fizz stays, fakes, haha, I'm getting
wait
traded
the brush
upon,
truck
suddenly
max range.
the bot lane arrives. But then SKT pushes this like feeble turret over and suddenly it's over. So for Flash Wolves, they're running all these scenarios through their head. They're not finding an answer.
As Zach, that's the thing that SKT does to you. They have a small way of pushing their advantage, and they leave very few openings for you to get any of your ideas across the board. I'm interested right there. SKT didn't go to finish the bot lane turret. Flash Wolves trying to get a kill onto Wolf here.
Well, they do get Wolf. Ooh, jukes! Oh. The Sonic Wave just barely. He was slowed for a bit longer, but Karsa couldn't land it, and unfortunately, he's not getting a lot of the ganks off just yet.
Also, his bubble timing, in case he got hit by QQ spam, the bubble would have interrupted the Lee Sin there. Like, he's really on top of his money there.
Yeah, little timings and the small jukes is something that, you know, as much praise as we heap onto SKT for their macro decision making and champion select, their ability to sidestep skill shots is the highest. Watching Jhin games at Worlds was insane with SKT. They almost never got hit by the Jhin W.
Whenever he gets cast, it's like they're doing a group dance effort where everybody jukes to the left or the right. Like the penta jukes on Jhin W's were so satisfying to watch because they know it's coming. They see the cast animation like, you know what, I don't even care if it's going to hit me. They all preemptively juke.
It's the best team in the world for a reason. Even the individual players are at worst top 3 in their role, you've got to imagine.
Ooh, Arrow.
Arrow's going to land this time onto Wolf. Plenty of damage here. Does have flash, but can he get over the wall? Yes. But the Q's going to land this time around. Karsa's able to secure it. Flash rolls back on the board for the first time in a while. Only 1,000 gold apart, and this is certainly a much more competitive game than last time.
That's what it takes. Yeah, Wolf was actually over-invaded right there. Looked like he was trying to set up a play on the bottom lane. Didn't even get the deep vision, and this actually allows Flash Wolves to get aggressive. MMD, unanswered.
Oh, and Faker! We talked about the best players in the world, but that was not even close to that flash being on the wall. Suddenly, large mistakes from SKT.
Yeah, and if Karsa and Maple are not going to move towards MMD, well, then he just comes to death. He surprises that play entirely with his fantastic teleport here.
Maybe we should game. Maybe we should compliment SKT more. The caster curse. We're like, man, best team in the world. No one does anything wrong. Several mistakes in a row now. And first turret to Flash Wolves means a gold lead. Up 500. It's small, but it's something.
Yeah, and Huni, because he was respecting this matchup in the top so well, Fizz could be in the brushes. He wasn't actually actively pushing. So he only got about 200 odd HP off that turret.
But in typical SKT fashion, just when it seems like the other team is winning, they're not. SKT gets the turret and the bottom lane regains the gold lead. But we're going to watch this nice play.
Yeah, he checks if anybody's there. Well, turns out Fizz is. And then, yeah, you have to flash before the Fizz happens.
Yeah, he actually had about another half second on the fish to walk closer to the wall. Faker did not want to miss that flash. A very rare mistake we'll see from him.
Happens to the best of us, happens to the worst of us. MMD back in this lane, only though got assists. So as far as the fact that he's been part of 2 very important kills, it's been low income for him. So he hasn't really shifted his item lead over Huni very much. as you've seen, Huni's been able to actually garner a gold lead and some turret damage for his matchup.
Yeah, well, also the roam he made was not matched by Huni, so Huni got to shove about 2 full waves into the turret. Zony's Hourglass as well, defense against the fish. If MMD wants to leave again and Huni matches or doesn't match, the turret goes down.
It's down below half HP right now, about 40%. SKT starting up on the mountain. Drake, they're turning off for this one right now. No rush just yet, but we'll see.
It's kind of a weak map moment for Flash Wolves when Betty was catching that wave in the bottom lane. So they were kind of outnumbered right there. Now it seems to be just an objective trade here. With SKT tunneling very hard on this Dragon, having Huni hold mid, but the top lane turret is under pressure. So the cross map could be Maple going top.
They look for Huni. He's going to pop the Zonies to get rid of the unleashed power, but there's still going to be enough unleashed here as Karsa takes the kill. 3 for him with the Q in the mid lane.
And this is big. In addition to that turret for Dragon trade right now, there's a kill on top. Plus, there's a 4-man siege building in middle lane, and there is no tower left in the bot lane to trade.
And this allows Flash Wolves to actually force SKT into some bad decisions because they can take full control of that top side of the map, and there will be a flashless defender in that lane because Orianna can side lane, but it's not a great side laner, so it's not like they have a LeBlanc they can sub into that top lane that is less vulnerable. This is a thing that Flash Wolves can actually play around here.
Not going to stick for turret damage, though. Could have gotten some autos off. MMD, though, burned his mana pool just to push the wave in and let them do a little bit of chip. More Flash Wolves are coming in, though.
Bait is being set up here.
It's because they have the vision control up in that top side right now. They can see anyone coming through the jungle, and that ward's even going to catch the people coming through the lane.
There's Wolf. They know it's 2 exactly. There's 3. They know how many are defending. Can they get the play? Not going to land the stuns. That turret dangerously low, but they don't go for the kill on it just yet. Flash Wolves back off.
A little hesitation there. MMD wanted to do the tempo play, which was basic, but then technically this turret could have fallen.
But if someone made that call 3 seconds earlier, hey, we're going to go for this play, that turret dies.
Yes.
So a missed call is the reason that turret is not dead right now. And now Betty chased down by Huni, flashing away. He's not going to make it out of this one, I don't think. He's trying to run, and actually he's going to be fine. Huni does not want to turn the ulti on.
You can actually W flash on Ashe. That's actually what happened there. Betty wanted to W to Huni and then flash away, but he actually aimed it a different way because he W flashed.
Yeah, luckily for Huni, luckily for Betty, the equalizer was just barely on cooldown. But whenever you're flashing away from Rumble harpoons, you have to actually flash the harpoon. The fact that you got hit by one flash and hit by the other, just flash during the cast time. Betty has not been playing well this game. 2 fairly poor flashes.
Yeah, it feels like he's trying to watch the other side of the map where he needs to send his arrow, where it's small shots, and then completely gets surprised. He walked up for vision and got the Varus ulti in his face. Right now he got surprised by Huni. He also, as the map opens up, he's constantly catching these sideways. Look where Betty is right now. Look where the rest of the team is. He very much so seems to be kind of just put into this lineup as an additional AD carry rather than being a true part of the team.
Well, unfortunately, he's playing Ashe. The hawk shots at least are helpful. He can help get vision for the team and do something else across the side of the map. Maybe the arrows can land afterwards. As far as chips leave alone, Ashe is one of the best, but you're right, Betty is certainly not part of the core of the team that has been doing all the work. Lowest KP on the team and all the deaths.
Now we're also looking at the way Flash Wolves beat SKT in the past. It was built on a great foundation of vision. And they're looking to neutralize SKT, find out what they're doing early. They're doing the right moves all the time, but if you figure them out early, there's always a counter.
Exactly, and I think a little bit of it is just happenstance that Flash Wolves does have a better record against SKT than many teams, but the vision control is very real for Flash Wolves. When they do get mid-game advantages, not even thinking about late game where sometimes they wait too long for the perfect play, but mid-game control ward, vision denial, or sweeping, even in the past, they have been better at that than any other team. So SKT makes such good decisions, but if they don't have the information to make the decision, then you finally force them to guess, and that's some of the ways the Flash Wolves have taken down SKT.
We'll see if they can make the guesswork keep going then. Flash Wolves looking to get some vision back, looking at both sides real quick. Flash Wolves no deep wards, but SKT really none either. Only vision on their own side of the map.
And this is macro and hard mode right now, because both teams are running a 4-1 composition on an open map, which means you need to send people to side lanes that don't want to go there. Sword Art narrowly avoids that wave.
All right, that's going to be an ultimate down, and a fairly important one for SKT.
And that's why we see the buddy system. Bang can't go top alone, so he needs somebody with him. These 1-3-1s that we always talk of, they become 1-1-3s.
flank.
4-1 compositions, but we have a fight.
MMD wants to get a fight there. Bang is very far on the side, so is Wolf now in the jungle. Can they get the Shark on from max range? Looks for the shot, he's going to miss it though, and the TP turns into just walking away.
Yeah, good move by Wolf there. Incredible patience, and also a lot of respect from Carson. Didn't even try to land the Sonic Wave. because he thought Wolf would juke it or flash it, was hoping for the fish to land.
Yeah, that top lane turret that Freak was talking about earlier, if that went down, there was actually an alternative path possible for Fizz, you know, at least a pivot in terms of movement.
Yeah, not going to be that case there. Of course, Betty also didn't shoot the arrow out. Maybe you look for that when the team is going for the dive on Nami. Like, shoot it out, right? I feel like there's some upside there for that one. Now towards the bot side we go. MMD wants it on Huni. Can't find any of the skill shots just yet. And of course, Shark is down as well. Not a lot to get just yet. There is the arrow. It's going to hit nothing, actually. Sidesteps with Faker. MD gets the shield, looks for the front line damage. But again, with no Shark, doesn't get much. Shockwave hits the front line. Doesn't mean a lot there either. Now Maple is in, have to wait out the exhaust. They didn't go for the unleashed power. Will they go for a Wolf? Yes, they do get the kill picked off now into Huni. Nice kickback onto Peanut. That's going to be 2 for 0 so far. And Huni's next up with the chopping block. Can they get number 3? The slow is there. Yes, they do.
SKT was in a 4v5 that entire time, so Huni always one to apply pressure, but pushes up and overstays, and the rest of SKT get caught trying to do that, but they still get a ton of turret damage.
Yeah, tons of minions here going towards Bang. He's going to finish up that turret off as well. But we still need to look at how the game is progressing here. Bang needs to be careful.
Lee Sin's not terribly far behind, but Sword Art can't really duel Bang. Karsa's still coming, though. Karsa does have boots, too. But there's a lot of move speed on Bang. He's got Zeal and boots, so I think he gets away.
Yeah, there's also Faker in the river.
Yeah.
We need to keep an eye on MMD now. What can he do against Huni? He's picking up a lot of gold in this fight, so a lot of the gold went to Bang here. Really good carry efficient in team fights. But this is the persistence from Flash. They realize they're in a 5v4 and they power on through.
Exactly, they know that Huni's very low, can't get much off in that fight, and when Faker Shockwave is down, it lowers the threat, but nearly getting a pick in the jungle.
Some damage there. No really major cooldowns burned, though. Neither ults from Faker nor Karsa. Wolf puts down the tidal wave, they're okay.
Flash will need to play with a lot of respect, though, because while Fizz is good into Rumble, bot lane, there's a teleport advantage currently available on
Pointing out, even though the kill score is 7-2, the gold is practically identical right now. The fact that SKT are up a turret right now is a pretty important one, but one more turret does finally fall. Looks like that was in the top lane as minions chunked that one out. Makes it back to 3-3.
And SKT being down in kills close in gold is almost always the case because they play the map so well. But breaking down the gold advantage, it's a 1,000 gold lead for MMD, a 1,500 gold deficit for Betty. So Bang is in a position to keep trying to turn on in this game. Phantom Dancer completed as well as QSS, and on the way to the next item, you can see nearly 10,000 gold in 2020.
Yeah, but in the breaking points, macro-wise, hang on, here's another arrow, Bang gets caught, QSS.
Critical breaking point to have finished at that point.
Yeah.
That's gold lead's working for you right there. If you get the same gold as Betty, he doesn't have that item.
At the same time, Betty can still provide utility while being down gold. And it's all up to the Flashers right now to get Huni in a lane with MMD and then remain or keep out of the 4v4 neutral and have MMD pressure out, but they haven't really been able to play around him too much in this game.
They haven't just yet, but we'll see if something more comes out of it. Betty on his way towards the Quicksilver Sash, maybe Hex Drinker as time goes on. I'd personally like Hex Drinker based on the fact that it's more damage coming out of the fact that it's an Orianna and a little less CC, but we'll see. Faker holds onto the top wave. Quick Drake pickup for Flash Wolves means they're up at Infernal overall, tied on Mountains.
Yeah, but they lose kind of the push in the other two lanes. That's always how this goes. Like, you make a play somewhere, they get the minions somewhere else, and they can get some vision or some pressure. But now Huni has to flash in his bot lane, and MMD, finally, this pressure is mounting up.
Yeah, it's impressive as well that MMD is having this side lane performance. They got to pick the good matchup. Once again, SKT just blindly pick a top laner, but this time, unlike last time where it was Fiora into Nautilus, Flash Wolves had the answer, and it is working out pretty well for him.
Ooh, look at the creative play here. Bang is lingering, shadowing for Huni, and MMD respects it enough. That is constantly what you have to do. SKT, they're so good at moving the lanes constantly over and over, so you can't fall into a pattern of expectations.
As you can see, this is not able to steal the blue away. Gonna go pretty securely. See if they can rotate somewhere else.
Yeah, again though, with Huni down there and Bang showing, Flash Wolves get tremendous control of the Baron area. They also have the Mountain Drake, so even though they don't have tremendous Baron killers, that Baron goes down a lot faster.
And that is the beauty played at the highest level. It's at this point that you're not even watching the screen, you're just watching the mini-map. 2 dots go bot, that means there's only 3 max in the top side. If Flash was at forward there, they can get an advantage, whether it's camps, vision, the implied Baron. There is so much going on at the same time, and these guys are constantly changing it up.
Flash Wolves is also in a point in the tournament at 2-4 up against SKT. They really want to get those wins. They're on the brink of not being able to make the top 4, but a win against SKT when no one else has been able to scratch them would be tremendous.
It'll do a lot for your confidence, and especially with the fact that, again, you expect most teams lose to SKT. Like, if Flash Wolves was 2-5 after this game, it's like, well, they had the hardest schedule. They played SKT in the second round robin early on. There's still room ahead of them. They get this win here, they're 3-4 with no SKT to play left until the playoff stage. Maybe they are in a good spot, and again, keeping that pretty important.
All right, they've done step one. They've pushed out mid. They're moving into the river right now. Look at the 3-man squad reactionary from SKT. Not one, buddy, but 2 you bring. But then there's the flank from Maple. Very creative pathing here, challenging, not allowing SKT to simply push out that top lane.
SKT actually on the back foot. Look where the wards are, look where the players are on the mid-map, as you mentioned, Crepo. When SKT's catching waves at their turrets, that means they're not in position to force play.
Yeah, they hang on right now because they move Huni from bump to mid. That obviously makes the 5v4 stronger there. Flash Wolves have to yield. So right now, Flash Wolves top side is in a defensive position, waiting for MND to put pressure. Once Huni catches that wave, that's when they will strike back. Hopefully, some of that vision still remains for them.
See, the vision control can stay up, though, despite the wave pressure back and forth. SKT just taking away as much gold as they can, and especially in games that have been a bit slow paced, right? It's 9 kills in 28 minutes. Efficiency really is very important. It's where you get most of your gold. The jungle camps dying on respawn, the minion waves not dying to turrets, you're catching them in time, and if you get chunked out, you miss 120 gold worth of minions when it gets pushed away. Now look at the play. Nice dash by Peanut to get away from the ward hop, but there's the arrow, the stun on Faker, and he's been deleted. No ulti available. Wolf next up, the Shark is in. That was nicely played. 2 for 0. They've gotten control again.
They're going for Baron right here because Huni canceled his teleport. He has Equalizer here. This may be a bait and switch. There is no vision in the pit.
SKT can make it to defend. They just put another ward down, but it is so difficult to expect the Equalizer to fly through. Will Flash Wolves finish and appeal.
There is no vision though. They could even hide in the pit right now. Peanut has to face check.
6,000 health, that's what SKT saw. There's enough time, they don't need to do much for it. And Flash Wolves, will they stay on this one? They are going to try. They do good damage, but Peanut's in range. Gotta respect this though, and Flash Wolves squander the lead.
So much patience from Huni, not equalizing, but so dangerous too. They have to guess how low the Baron is because they didn't have vision of it that whole time.
They got one glimpse of 6,000 in the middle of that. They saw, okay, it's not in smite range. We can kite away again.
They knew it was started with the boot trinket, then the Grace walked up. It's just, this was a beautiful dance from both these teams. I love the respect that's going back and forth.
Bangs down in the bot lane. Huni's top with no JP. Peanut doesn't have anybody to come check with them.
It's a fake out. It's a bait and switch. The Flash Wolves, they fake their base. Now Peanut, he has to figure out what's going on. He knows they're in the pit because he saw the wall.
1,000 health. They're going to kick him out. He might just die to the Shark. Now, is there going to be a steal? There's no chance. Absolutely perfect by Flash Wolves. Couldn't have been better. Baron.
Flash Wolves struggled to finish Baron earlier in the tournament against G2. That was beautiful against SKT, the entire sequence.
Oh, they're so on top of the information here. Look, the push wave that we were talking about, Huni catches, well, instant reaction Betty. He's behind in goal, but it doesn't matter. He finds Faker in this fight. MMD single-handedly wins the backline.
Arrow into stun chain, or the other way around between Maple, but that type of CC controls got Flash Wolves hyped up.
But then the fact that they don't get sucked into the hype, they don't Peanut knew that they were in the pit. The car side, he does the smartest play ever, goes out and kicks him in.
Yeah, first Baron, SKT has conceded this entire MSI. So now it's about whether or not Flash Wolves can use it and how can SKT defend, because they still have tremendous zone control with the rest of their team composition.
This game feels like every game Flash Wolves wins against SKT. They're doing middlingly in the group stage, and then somehow they just play to SKT's level. Minor mistakes here and there, yes, there have been some mechanical ones, but Flash Wolves playing appropriately, playing properly. MMD split pushing well, 3-0-2 in a tournament he's been terrible in so far. And Flash Wolves can keep this level of play up. They can.
And it forces SKT, look, they made that decision without having very much vision control. They're completely abandoning the jungle because the control wards of Flash Wolves are right there. And MMD has really been the key because that was the huge thing missing from Flash Wolves' play.
And how flexible is he? So many top laners would go top here, go for the hard push on tier 2 because that's their role, right? The split pusher, he goes top, joins mid to give assistance, to give the guarantee that Flash Wolves as a team can take bot lane tier 2.
And Flash Wolves need to keep making good choices. You can never count SKT out in this game. There's a reason they're 6-0. There's a reason they're the best team in the world. 1.5 minutes left on Baron. The lead only 3,000. how much more can Flash Wolves get with this power play?
Have to keep tracking Faker's Orianna ball because he likes to hide it in back and forth fights and then pull the trigger.
So threatening with that shockwave. It's why it's his most played champion of all time. He will always have the opportunity to make a play with it, but Flash Wolves have taken down SKT before.
See if they can do it here. A lot of Magic Pen is available for Faker. Ash splitting in the bot lane right now. MMD near the flank, but again, you don't want to dive without your bot laner around, but it creates space though. The threat of the MMD dive has pushed SKT away, and that's the turret going down.
Yeah, but that's not what they're doing. They're just playing it so slow, and they're going for a rotation topside. This is beautiful. Slow push top, catch mid,
Great ulti.
deal with bot lane. No, if you buff them.
And MMD was smart, exactly. Melee minions get significant damage reduction with the Baron buff on them. He jumps forward, they get the stun on Peanut. The Shark is there, he's gonna die for this one, and SKT probably should not have defended a turret 2v5. That is a mistake, and it's gonna be Flash Wolves getting another turret picked up.
Absolutely, SKT not keeping up with that turret rotation. Peanut alone from the rest of his team. Wolf not close to help peel with Nami.
Oh, and I love this iteration of lane switches. It was MMD in the top lane that initially pushed his wave. He went to catch mid, while his team was bot. They didn't go 5-man mid because it's easy to hold that. They kept Betty bot lane, use that pressure, switch to top lane while somebody was dealing with it, and now they're hitting the base 5v4.
Now, Huni has no equalizer. Peanut's not even alive. Flash Wolves is just running right into the base.
15 seconds from the jungler, inhibitor turret is gone. When can SKT get themselves a fight? The kick back on a Faker! He's gonna flash, but he's still dead! That's 11-2 win kills, and Flash Wolves looking to close out if they can do it. Peanut just now back alive, but it's still a 5v4. Baron buff on, and timing out soon enough. Looks like it's gonna be Flash Wolves going for the reset, but now they're up 6,000 gold.
And a mistake from Faker, do not flash in time. You gotta respect Karsa's Lee Sin here. If he closes in, he will try to kick flash you, and you can't react because when you get kicked, that's a frame where you're locked out.
Karsa making so many plays, as he somehow seems to do against Faker on the international stage. It's like an SKT buff, but they're still needing to close this game. They're playing at such a high level right now.
SKT have only found 2 kills and 3 turrets in this game. So while their moves were so solid, it's almost like this, it passed by us here. Only 2 deaths on Betty, and everybody else is deathless.
Watching this one more time, SKT just didn't have a good way of defending, but watch Karsa right here, just a tiny little ward jump before flash kicking Faker, and then Sword Art immediately with the W, even after Faker would flash. They are safe to blow everything on him because Huni has no equalizer at this point of the game.
You can see how excited Flash Wolves are about this. They know they've had a mediocre tournament, but now taking a game against the best team in the world spells so many good things for your future.
And the group stage is 5 days long with 2 games a day. You need to be able to not tilt, and that's what this Flash Wolves team talked about. They've been together for so long. The core of this team, Karsa, Maple, Sword Art, over 4 years. They've won, they've lost, they've been through it. So that's why they wanted to stay calm, find a way to adapt to the tournament meta. Get a shielding support. They didn't win lane, but mainly get that top priority. SKT disrespected them and dared them with that early pick rumble, and Flash Wolves have responded with the pick and also with their in-game play.
And they squeeze out a 5,700 gold Baron power play against SKT, a team that knows how to defend and minimize their losses. When they do make those few mistakes, they're far in between. What a fantastic performance. Even if Flash Wolves somehow lose track here, they've done great things in this game.
You can't let this game go. If you lose this one, I think you actually are so heartbroken, because there's got to be so much faith and happiness in your heart right now if you're Flash Wolves or a Flash Wolves fan. You're like, we're beating SKT, just don't screw up, and oh baby, it's going to be great. And if it does slip, I feel like you are so shattered. The likeliness is slow. Sorry, the likelihood is very low. I misspoke, but they are in such a good position.
Yeah, and with Baron buff up again in 50 seconds and double Mountain for Flash Wolves, the threat of the Baron does insert a sense of panic into SKT when they're trying to check the pit. It's also interesting how most teams go with double scrying orb at this point of the game. They're actually triple sweeper on SKT. They're so concerned about being seen by wards that they're kind of giving up some of their vision.
Yeah, they're putting the goal or the direction here to keep their jungle defended with the multiple sweepers in different iterations. The problem is they have a hard time face checking it. Look at Flash Wolves as well. Right now they're condensed. As 5, they're getting top jungle control, but I would love to see MMD now move to the bottom side of the map and push there and put pressure as his fist.
Splits up soon enough, or Flash will just keep everyone together and just decide to never have the chance to be split up. And
They may just
the 5-on-5.
They also have a very few control wards. Some of these guys are maxed out in items. For example, there's a potion on Maple. Apparently he still needs that biscuit. No control ward there.
Yep. We'll see SKT coming down through the mid lane, looking into the river. Looks like SKT does want to contest on this Baron. MMD is tanking it. He's getting some MR and armor shredded off as well.
If SKT are ever going to fight their way back in the game, this would be it. Back
Tank
catches
walks
it.
into tank it. The QSS and the Shark's not going to land either.
Such a smart move right there by Bang. A flashless AD stepping in front of an Ash Hero because he has QSS, but now that is down, and there are other ways Flash will initiate.
But now the Deton is actually moving in Flash Wolf's favor because look at the top lane. Minions are amassing. While usually 5v5 is great if you don't have side lane pressure, SKT
Recall.
need to deal with that top lane somehow.
So Huni's recalling. There are some wards around. Carson waiting in the wings, sees Peanut. Decides he's not going to go for the fight just yet. Huni just going to clear minions in the base, and they're given time for it.
He still does have teleport, though. SKT will need to get a good ward down for him to TP on. He can come behind with that.
Finishing it.
Beautiful by Carson, gets him away, gets him back, and it gets him out. Nicely done. Kicks Peanut, gets the smite now on the Wolf to smite it down by the unleashed power of Maple.
Yeah, Jab was right on the money. There weren't enough scrying orbs to get vision. There was no knowledge here, and because it's so late in the game, they could easily tank that Nasher. Huni is playing Janitor in the base, but they've lost their support.
And the gameplay by Maple there, 7 orb ultimate, just straight up one-shots Wolf in the end. Now Baron in a 5v4, they get it on Faker.
Start gonna Faker, plenty of damage, Shockwave by sometime. Equalizer gets not a lot done. Carson still wants in, he's tanky enough. 5v4, they've got the middle inhibitor turret down.
Now look at the discipline here. MMD was called back by his team. They just said, yo, focus in it first. Another arrow back, no QSS.
No QSS, none is there, the damage output's in. They're gonna knock down the bot laner. Huni's next up on it. And he's gonna pop Zonia's, but he's gonna die for this one. Not even a chance of getting out. And Flash Wolves have done it. They have taken down SKT. They have handed them their first loss of the mid-season invitational. Maple Vein plays one more down, and it's Flash Wolves giving up only 2 kills the entire game, improve to 3 and 4, and take down the best team in the world.
And what a huge victory for Flash Wolves. It's one thing to take down SKT, but also in the context of the struggles they have been having in this tournament. They were 2 and 4 coming into this game, and SKT were looking like gods. They take them down and improve to 3 and 4.
Literally goosebumps. So many moments of greatness. It started in the picks and ban when they got the Fizz, but they banned out the Echo and they told SKT, you know what, we're gonna pick Syndra, like Freak pointed out right there. The Orianna wasn't
Have that fast game. I'm really curious to see what type of draft phase we get here.
I wonder if they're going back to protecting Expect and the pick ban, because that's what they did against SKT. When they play teams with a similar style where not too much goes to the top side and both teams like to play bot heavy, then usually they protect Expect a little bit and set it up for a good matchup, but it doesn't seem like they're actually doing that this game.
Yeah, and what's interesting as well, if I look over at Team WE, is they played so well around Mystic and Ben throughout the regular season and hardly ever played through 957. Yet here, when they played through 957, he goes off on Kled. They win. When they abandon him, he's 100% of his team's deaths 25 minutes into the game.
This is actually super interesting. Very fast pick and ban here. Double jungles ban out. I wonder if they go for first pick Graves, but then they may break the tradition that is first pick Lulu.
We'll have to see what WE's final ban is here. Kind of interesting so far. At least Lee Sin, Nami on the G2 side. WE, Ivern, expected, Cannon, and one more to come. This is a very important game for these two teams as well. It's important to remember. These two teams are relatively close in skill based on what we've seen already, so a win here kind of puts you up above a team that's close to you. And there's Karma. There's Lulu.
Yeah, because of the Karma ban, they have to pick Lulu and they lose the Graves, and they likely end up playing the Kha'Zix into Graves matchup then.
Yeah, you have to be so adaptive with that final ban if you're Team WE, because you're not coming into this one and trying to whiteboard out the pick ban phase and say, oh yeah, I think G2's gonna ban 2 random junglers and Nami. No, but because of that reaction. The other option though, if they don't ban any of the 3 is, yeah, G2 can get the mid laner Graves, but then WE could have had Karma and Lulu. I actually would have preferred that, or getting one of the 2 shielders as well as Graves. So I actually don't agree with that Karma ban, since WE is the type of team that has such a good Karma mid playstyle. But that's what they've gone and done, and they do jungle AD with their first 2 picks. They lock in that Ashe.
Yeah, Ashe is one of the stronger picks here from Mystics. Venha plays the champion fine, but his arrows were not kind of hitting their mark, so I don't think they mind too much that it's stolen away here.
We'll see what happens on the G2 side. Strong start for WE on the drop, but they did have to give away a Lulu for the trouble. And I think, again, so a lot of I think Phase 1 champions getting banned out is kind of the interesting thing here.
Yeah,
There's actually Kog'Maw, yeah, locked in for G2.
So it has to be Kog'Maw plus jungle here, otherwise Trick is going to get pitched even more. Or they must have a niche pick somewhere that they do not expect their opposition. This Rumble could technically be a flex though.
Yeah, G2 definitely switching it up here. The reason I like the Kog'Maw in this situation is it is a hyper carry. We're expecting this game to go fairly late, and also look at the supports that are banned.
Yeah.
He's not laning against a Nami or a Karma in the other side of the matchup, so the Kog can actually do pretty well in lane with the Lulu, I think.
Yeah, and also if you're not playing against a really prominent hard carry top laner, you know, 957 isn't rated as high in the aggression department as, for example, Huni, then you can get the Shen through the laning phase as well, and you can center everything again around Sven. And it's always a joy to watch G2 Esports or just any team that Sven is on play protect Sven comps.
And I like this a lot. I like the Shen for that reason. They're saying, Trick, we trust you. Even if you get a few more bans thrown at you, we're confident you can play maybe even a surprise pick here. But again, making sure they play to their strength, but the bans keep coming. Kled was a pick for WE. They knew they had to take it now, but now the jungle bans start. There's Rengar and Zyra on the opposite side for G2.
Yeah, G2 is laning support dominance in the bottom lane, maybe even the Malzahar. They get rid of next. This has to be Kha'Zix right here on the other side.
Yeah, because that gets rid of, we've essentially moved down, that's 5 jungle bans as well as a jungle pick, so you're down to your 7th jungler on your tier list. Maybe Trick has something like Warwick?
He has played Rumble and 1 game of Warwick as well, I do believe. He can definitely play that.
Yeah.
Well, there's the Thresh ban actually instead of something like the Malzahar. Let's see if WE maybe want to take some sort of support here. Perhaps could flex this Lulu as well, so WE could lose another support, but it's pretty unlikely.
Yeah, Malzahar goes down in value because you're already going to build a QSS for the Ashe anyways, and you have the defensive support. So in that sense, Thresh gives you more variance in kind of gameplay, flash play, you know, Mad Life performances on hook, you know, Faker Smurfs on support. That's what you want to avoid with the Thresh. Give him a standard pick that is at least predictable.
Oh, they already locked it in! It's Nunu! I thought they were joking! Well, there's the Lulu, there's LeBlanc. Draft done for G2.
Yeah, and they have the LeBlanc as a split push threat, so they're not all about the centerfold of the Kog'Maw, but I love the Nunu coming in this situation.
Mr. Nunu. All right, go ahead, Jack. Why do you like Nunu?
He's good. Really, this is the patch with the changes to his passive. So if you're able to get enough auto attacks in, you do get essentially a rank 2 ult at level 6, but more so, he is a safe jungler who can control a lot of the game. It's a little tricky against Graves because Graves clears so quickly, but as far as just being able to protect the Kog'Maw, it's perfect.
Yeah, super fascinating, this new Nunu pick. We also have to look at the reaction here, though, into this LeBlanc. Kassadin has seen a couple quality of life changes, I think, as well as small buffs on the ultimate, I believe it was. So he definitely is slowly getting buffed up every patch until he hits broken status again.
It was a cooldown reduction on his Force Pulse, and also his W now follows people past Flash if he's already started the auto attack animation, or even a LeBlanc going back from a distortion or something, it will hit. So I think Kassadin's a very strong pick into LeBlanc. We were so distracted by the Nunu, we kind of missed out on that nice counter pick down the stretch because WE very much trying to split up and flank to get onto the Kog'Maw, whereas you two want to keep this map small.
But look at the range in team fights. This is a very short range composition, I feel, on a lot of these carries here. Kassadin and Kled, if Sven can escape the initial burst of engage, he can orb walk his way out of these fights with the protection and single-handedly kite his way out towards victory. However, there is so much hard engage too. Kled going in from one side, Kassadin from the other side, maybe an Ash Arrow to slow or flash Malzahar. If Sven dies, a lot of the damage goes down with him.
Yeah, just a lot of potential here in WE. They are going to have to play, I think, a bit more aggressive in this situation. We talk about 20% of their games where Conti just goes off and the team can follow. They're going to need to dig back into that 20% if they're going to try and tech on what is a terrifying scaling comp.
Yeah, and I loved this draft phase because there was so much adaptation required, throwing out the support bans early. And I honestly feel like G2 got exactly what they wanted out of this. It feels like it because they still get the shielding support. Whether or not that was the plan beforehand, all the jungler bans fall through, but they still get something that is additive towards their team composition if it is almost never played.
Yeah, as a total unbiased European, however, I'm a little scared for the combination of Nunu Shen in the past that has shown a lot of tankiness, but too little forward pressure or damage, and the fact that LeBlanc can foul off a little bit. If it's like an Orianna that's a bit better as a double damage threat, or even a Syndra that has just more innate blow-up potential, LeBlanc is tricky to play in these kind of hyper carry comps.
Yeah, and I like this because we have such a difference between the team compositions, because WE's comp is actually not without scaling. Kassadin and Kled can scale pretty well, and the flank threat of those two is massive. So both teams have very clear strategies. Double TP on both sides to try and match the split pushing in this game.
Well, everyone's out into the rift here for this game. Really interesting stuff to start it off already, and we're barely even into it. Sven and Mithy, though, having a dance in the bottom lane.
I actually hate that skin,
Yeah.
personally.
Dislike
but Sven has doing it to tilt the opponent, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely mental warfare with that super noise skin. We need to watch this bottom lane though, because this lane isn't as easy. Kog'Maw is very centered around the cadence of the W. If it's up, you win. If it's down, you get butchered. So you really need to step forward and backwards well in this laning phase. And Ashe can always poke you when you're on your way to trade as well.
Well, it looks like Trick. Very curious to see how Nunu's going to look at jungle route as well. Nice little ward from WE is actually going to see that buff. Condi and Ben also starting. Trick maybe predictably is on the blue buff.
Yeah, one unfortunate thing about playing Nunu jungle is he doesn't start very well on the Raptors, where a lot of other junglers can start. Graves does start well on the Raptors, but when you have a Malzahar, you want to take advantage of the Voidling pull. Condi kills that so fast, and since he did have the ward, he can actually do to Nunu what Nunu would like to do to opponents.
Yeah, but look at it. Both teams seem to be ready for the reaction.
Now the vertical jungle most likely.
Because the ward's been placed already. I'm not sure if Trick actually saw that ward being placed, if he knew that his opponents have the knowledge of his starting location.
Well, damage already being down here. Level 1, and Mystic's pretty low on health. Mithy chugging potions for himself as well, but see if the aggression continues. Level 2 going to be on the way after these 3 melees, I believe, but here's Condi actually bottom side.
He's coming in for a cheeky gank here. G2 bot lane trying to respect it.
Uh-oh, damage is going to be pretty big here. Quick draw in. Sven instantly burns the heal out of respect.
Yeah, this is actually not the best planning here, because G2, what they were doing is they were trading health early to be in the race for level 2. They were still able to get fast to level 2. The problem is, as I pointed out, we have vertical jungling going on. You cannot race for level 2 in this scenario, because Graves can always show up if they let you push.
Yeah, and the thing is now, with the hawk shot flying up towards Trick, I don't think he has time to clear this red buff. You can see Condi skipping all the way towards him as they fight in the bot lane.
Mystic low as well, but they're going to turn it back in onto Mithy. Ban autoing out. And again, more potions being chugged.
So much easier to kill these Voidlings right now, though. They're getting butchered patch and patch and patch.
Might, no, doesn't get it. Condi.
Oh, he smoked 2 health early right there. So close for Trick to get that steal. And now his counter jungling is for naught. That was so close by Condi.
Yeah, Nunu getting 3 buffed. That is not the early game result that you want now. However, he can adapt by picking up mostly Scuttle Crabs, just really quick along the way. Just get a modicum of experience and gold here, but definitely a great start for Condi.
Well, expect getting pushed in the meantime here in top lane. You can go on CS pretty comfortably, but watch this one again. It was 2 health, you said.
Yeah.
2 health was right.
Yeah, that's just extremely close right there.
Yeah, especially because Condi did have red buff, so it was ticking down, and you're trying to time your smite with the auto attack, because both junglers are going to be smiting on the same threshold right there, just insanely close.
And now pushing the bottom side. Maybe that aggressive trading has cost G2's duo a little here. Actually 10 CS down as Sven's trying to catch up with this huge wave under the turret, but just constant harass from the 2v2.
That's the story for the side lanes. Getting pushed in and trying to stay on even CS. Expect is doing it much better than the bottom lane. However, they had an early visit from many Graves, and that can really throw a spanner into works. Luckily, Kog'Maw does not need even CS, because on level 6, that initial trade, when you have picks on you, you get a couple W autos and an R off. That is poke to half HP on any champion.
So pushing into this mid lane now. So let's see what he can get done here. Teleports were expended early, so they'll have some early laning items. And Trick's actually down the bottom side, but he's going to get spotted. Good ward.
No buffs on him. They're pushed in pretty hard. They also don't have heal on Sven, so they gotta back up.
Condi has got red here as well. In fact, he's also got flash. He just might look to take one down. First blood is on the horizon. Condi flashes for it, and there it is.
And we were again at an international tournament where G2 have a plan, a late game idea of what they want to do, but things go horribly wrong in the early game, and they have shown in the past that they do not adapt well to losing these turrets early game at international tournaments.
He's got sums, isn't going to have to use them. It takes a boatload of damage from the 3 members of Water Lane. That turret is low. That actually might die. Where's the wave? It's not quite there in time.
Mithy essentially just tanked for the turret right there. He was trying to distract Team WE so his turret wouldn't fall. He does hold it for now, and that prevents the absolute disaster, but it's still quite bad for G2.
Watch this again. Like, Trick knows enemy jungle is coming. They're trying to hide under the turret, but it's been just completely out of resources. He got punished too often, had to use W on the creeps. Obviously couldn't use it as a trading tool, and eventually it broke. And Trick, too late, escaping.
Yeah, would have needed the flash much earlier than that. That may have prevented Condi from going in for the flash if it wouldn't have secured the kill, but just doesn't quite gauge the Graves damage right.
The problem when your Nunu is under so much pressure is that he can't do any drive-bys in the mid lane. This matchup, the only matchup that is kind of seesawing in the other direction is Cassidy versus LeBlanc, but you need a jungle visit to tiptoe it just a little bit too much, you know, so it falls over the edge, and Trick hasn't had the chance to visit mid at all.
Yeah, and so much of that goes down to the missed smite on red buff. If that hasn't happened, Trick has the red buff, probably level 4. Condi wouldn't. Trick can maybe smack him out of that brush, no problem, but it was those little things that do have snowball effects, and it's all about now how G2 can recover.
Well, he certainly looked at Water Elite here, and so they will have to play a little uncharacteristic of themselves and get that aggression going. Condi, as always, has been the flag bearer for that early play here, but game's certainly not out of reach. Almost 1,000 gold up for Water Elite, which is nice, but certainly not over. And
World Elite right now, they have to be careful of this 4-man roam bot from G2 Esports. Team WE, of course, no longer the Forsaken name, because they're looking to get back amongst the elite in the world.
Yes.
But they're not there quite yet, so we call up Team WE. But yes, they're looking to combat that play from G2, because G2, they want to make a 4-man roam bot with the Shen, the Nunu. LeBlanc uses the push, and it's honestly just a 5-man party in the bot lane.
Yeah, that is the hope, and that's also what can hopefully for them keep Team WE at bay. But this very much looks like the type of WE composition we saw in Game 1 versus Flash Wolves, not the more passive everyone range composition we got to see against TSM. So WE trying to play these multiple different styles, and Condi on the forefront right now, again invading Nunu, sees the control ward.
Gonna get caught maybe a bit. The bottom line's still pushing so nicely that I don't know if Trick can do too much.
Yeah, the question is caught by what? Because they have push in that bottom lane, and he can just now contest this red buff with a lot of fearlessness. He has the support of his Malzahar most likely.
I don't know if Cassidy's going to get there quick enough as Van is going to move himself out of the way. Turret goes down, and Mystic says to take it, and now Sven
Get all these up!
exhausted. Maybe a little too much, but Sanjay said Mystic cut into the enemy team. Condi not there in time. Sven gets a kill. The WE not done yet. Here's 957, but Condi already too low, goes down as well. And now 957's got a flash. Does get polymorphed over the wall, but now Perk's also looking for a pickoff. He's actually going to meet Cassidy in here, so he'll back away, but G2, great collapse there.
And that fight was a mess overall because it is all about the red buff, but they end up getting kind of caught down bottom, and G2 was way quicker to the party.
And this is why, if you're playing Kog'Maw, put at least 1 point in E. So many Kog'Maw players try to min-max and avoid that ability at all costs, but it actually was the catalyst that snowballed G2 forward. When you want to play Kog'Maw lanes, you call an E trade first. You say you go on that E, the guy slows down, and then you go all in, and now we have the Shen ulti coming in. Trick was doing a great job. He even consumes for health on the top side of the play there. And then Jen, he doesn't panic flash. He flashes just as expected, lands, gets out, survives, but is continuously doing damage. Kobe was talking about it yesterday. Uptime in team fights, always contributing to the damage in the fights.
Yeah, and the angles that WE chose in that fight were very poor because they had the stronger members, so if they all focus, then they would have been able to win, but they did not. For them, though, they still have a tremendous amount of map pressure. Already taking the bot turret, and they're so quick to move up top.
This is a really nice translation, actually, from Team WE, and they will be able to get this after stacking up a very big wave. So gold in their pockets, despite losing the last team fight. G2 having to recover means WE now up 2 turrets and 2,000 gold.
And Sven's arc to becoming a superhero is being set. I mean, he has yet to die in this tournament. His damage print is insane, and if they win, the only route is through him right now, and he has to pull them from behind. So not the ideal way to play, but he has been performing, and if there is a guy that you want to be able to pull you back, it would be Sven on Kog'Maw.
Yeah, he might just evolve into OG Deals and single-handedly carry the game.
That guy was pretty good.
Good flash from Perks, misses the arrow there from Mystic, and a nice little angle, doesn't quite clip expect either.
It's good enough. That's the only case where I can advocate flashing in the wall is okay. By Perks.
Fair drop on a rope, pulls Inspect back in, but Ken doesn't look particularly bothered by this. Tiamat up for the Kled, Chainvest, Barmy, Cinder, so almost up with the Sunfire Cape, but FF7 not taking over the game just yet. I'm
quite perplexed here by the very early QSS by Perks in the Cassidy matchup. I feel like he's so scared of Blanc in fights. So he's basically from
Malzahar.
From Malzahar in fights, great because he's LeBlanc. Because I think he might just want to be like a nuisance, going in and out, but being scared of being silenced and then CC.
Yeah, his threat is non-existent with the QSS. I mean,
surprise!
People do like building QSS to avoid Malzahar, but I feel like Ben has bigger fish to fry against a team that
bigger dogs
includes the Kog'Maw. that
Puppy
too.
here. Poor little puppy, Sven.
And interestingly, like, Mystic is up in the top lane because they're trying to keep Sven away from farm, but that will let this Ocean Drake most likely go over.
Well, they'll take it if they can get it. Looks like WWE not in the vicinity, so that will be over to Trick. That is one thing we haven't seen Nuno in a while, don't forget. Pretty good at taking down big monsters.
This is something WWE do a lot, though. Put their AD carry in a side lane, and then they lose the rest of the map. Teams need to capitalize on it, though, and punish it very hard. Mystic is getting so much free farm, but free farming on a side lane as AD carry, when you have Cassidy in mid, it generally uses the entire bot side of the map.
Just does want his farm and is a top performer for the team, so I can kind of see why, but adaptation's never really been WE's thing. They just kind of play their style and do play it well to their credit. Still up in goal, which is good, but no pressure really in that mid lane. Perks providing quite a lot of wave clear. First Drake went down, so there's nothing to do there for about 5 minutes or so. I mean, if G2 are looking for a lull in the game, it's actually a very good time for them to just farm up.
Yeah, exactly, because you look at the ward control, and Team WE actually doesn't have very strong ward control into the territory of G2, and that's kind of where they need it. WE has taken down both side lane turrets. Perks is sitting in the mid lane, so there's very few places for the Kog'Maw to farm. A 74 CS Kog at 12 minutes, not exactly the rate at which you would like to farm for Sven, who's one of the highest CS per minute players in the world. So at this point, WE need to continue to pressure those side lanes, get the wards, and then ult in with Kled and Caston to keep Sven down.
Mystic actually coming down as well. This is a nice little setup actually for WE, but G2, we'll see if they play the requisite amount of safety. Looks like WE aren't going to overcommit for it. Mystic not going to stay in fog of war for a potential arrow, but at least they've moved their AD carry towards this mid lane. G2 already know this. They've moved him, Kog'Maw there for the safe farm, and WE kind of doing the right thing on the map for once.
Yeah, but Sven will always have to yield the push, because he can't move up to challenge that wave, because if he does, he's very prone to Ashe arrows or flash Malzahar ultis, and he has yet to finish a QSS of his own. He's definitely going to lose the mid lane priority, which means then WE can move in left or right, put deep vision, go to the side lanes, eventually rotate towards the tier 2 turret, or set up like a dive in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for WE to set up a dive, because that's like the natural thing. Looking at the damage threats on G2, they are mostly non-existent. You got a QSS LeBlanc and a Kog'Maw who's level 7 without a blade right now. So if WE can get the pressure in the side lanes, and then 5-man dives Sven in the mid lane, that's how they break this game open.
Yeah, the alternative could be rotating for a side lane turret, but they're compensated so well around diving, they may just have to be careful for the Shen, though. That is one thing WE will have to be careful for.
Actually, side lane action they're going to go with here. Perks in trouble, 1v3. Does have his QSS, so see if it saves him.
The QSS.
He's Trick to help him out. Silence is down to internet and in, and there's Trick, absolute zero, just to zone them out of the way. Everyone protects him, and Perks is okay.
Yeah, but they lose top lane. So this is 1v1 being executed by WE here, and so much pressure from 947. He's going to start chunking that turret.
Yeah, that's a lot of overall pressure lost, especially because Mystic is single-handedly holding 2 people in that mid lane. So 957 able to get a lot of hits on him.
Yep, does back out though. It's like maybe spotted Mithy moving through the jungle, or just has an awareness that they've backed off. They're probably up here about now, kind of using some of that internal time. Oh, a free CS for Sven.
Almost. Sweep it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was in range. Mithy doesn't have one. It's a disaster. So I have to continue playing back here for a little while longer. And Mystic does have that completed play. The other issue kind of his man is that even if he has gold, he's not really got a chance to back.
And even in terms of pressure, it's actually quite good to just place a ward in somebody's vision sometimes. Mostly you want to hide wards, but when you're playing stuff like Ashe and Malzahar, you just want to remind them, hey, I see you at all times. You're gonna, even if you're peeking around a corner, it basically means that Sven now has to hide under the turret. Which means WE can always push those waves faster and deeper in, and they can rotate for longer amounts of time.
Yeah, and we keep talking about all the things WE can do, but there's very little they are doing right now. It's 1.8 thousand gold after taking down both side lanes and having a double TP composition with Kled and Caston. Where's the charge from Kled? It's been 6 levels since he's had it, and they haven't pulled off any of these plays. WE can be known in the LPL as the team that turns on at 35 minutes and is the Elder Drake team. But if you do that with a 2,000 gold lead against this G2 composition, you're going to lose. So Team WE has to make something happen.
Seems like they might be setting up for some side lane pressure, but again, despite all the good things they have in place, it's how they execute upon that we'll have to look for. 140, Infernal Drake will be spawning, so that might be another place where WE can say, all right, let's just force a 5v5, because that is something they know as well. But if this game is in this pattern, G2, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, good subtlety here from Perks here, as the G2 bot lane is basing and basically leaving mid exposed. He moves to mid, clears the wave out, goes back, and they're just stalling over.
She at level 11. Pretty strong right now with the Rod of Ages ticking up, but Ben going to have to go back. Probably an item to buy, plus some wards to refill. Mobility boots actually there for the Malzahar, so maybe that will get it a bit more active. I mean, I feel like I haven't seen a single Malzahar all game, and when you've got a Cog freely farming a lane, feels like WE have the tools, but just aren't quite using them yet.
Yeah, and to be fair, even though G2 does have this protect the cog composition, the way they've done the rest of their draft is with 1-3-1 split pushers. So Shen, not easy for Kled to get the push on, and same with LeBlanc, especially one that has a QSS at this stage in the game. So that is one of their tools for trying to stall this out.
It's not as simple as just making one play. It's essentially picking a lock. They need to make the right moves 3 or 4 times in a row for that lock to open. It could be burning the teleports on the side lanes, burning the Shen ultimate, and then returning for another dive right there. But it's so meticulously slow, and G2, this is their style that they like. Open maps, side lanes, not too much hard engage, and just manipulating minion waves. It's what they've been training for the majority of the season in Europe as well.
And I really like how they've moved Sven to the mid lane. It's the most secure spot on the map. They can shrink it as much as possible. And as long as Expect keeps this push on 957, the Kled ult isn't going to be coming into dive.
And it's also one of the reasons we were talking in champs, like, you know, we see LeBlanc here scary, no Syndra, no Ori, because you think, why don't an Orianna shield to protect the Kog'Maw? Well, Orianna doesn't play well in side lanes. LeBlanc does it much better, and that is actually helping them right now.
Good arrow. Actually, Charlie's going to come in as well. Stand United is tricked. He's the first blood of the ult. The absolute zero against Shadow. Pretty big amount of damage coming, but not quite enough spent. Well, on the backline, Blasco and Zay gets him out of the way, but Shie moving forward with the Riftwalk as Mithi is low. Expect actually traveling. No, it is Mithi. The Skull dismounts. Condi takes out Trick finally as WE get themselves a kill. And that's a play they're all waiting for.
Yeah, and G2 actually broke from their pattern. I don't know why they walked towards the Rift Herald, but as soon as they left the safety of that mid lane oasis, they were just completely collapsed on by WE.
Way too much solo queue. That was a new Herald on the patch. No, that's honestly the only plausible explanation you could muster, because they were just so fine scaling up. It's not even close to Baron spawn, so there's no reason to contest that vision 3 minutes ahead of time. I think they just felt too comfortable in this kind of status quo that W created, but major blunder here. And Sven could have easily died in that fight. Xie could have leapt over and found him across the wall, but he went for the team fight.
Incredibly perplexing, and Sven now not in his turret, opening up towards the Kled side of the map. Instantly 957 comes in with the Kled ultimate, and Ben finds the person he wanted to with his ultimate, so it doesn't matter if Perkz has a QSS. He was off at the bottom lane, teleports in really late, but everyone on G2 just tried to run as far as possible.
Yeah, right there, if Xie takes him left, he finds Sven, takes him down. So the 0 deaths still up for Sven. That'll be much harder in the future, because a bit more gold on WE and an Infernal.
Yep, Infernal's nice there. WE do pick it up during that replay. Blue buff now going to go over to Xie as well. Things just kind of still building up for G2. Perkz still needs that first major damage item. Gunblade not done just yet with that early QSS. Blade Ninja Turbine is done for Sven, so that's a good look for him. But Perkz, a little caught, does have his QSS. Distorts back out of the way. Now looking for this turret here. Good 3-man by G2, trying to break up on the map a little more.
Yeah, they're losing the individual matchups, I think, right now, and that's why they're trying to just go for turret trades. Because if you put this Kassadin, look at the items. Negatron Merc that's Kassadin into a block lane, he's going to win that 1-1 super hard and eventually leave that lane and join the mid lane party. So G2 trying to change it up.
Oh, back to Armor looking good there.
Kog'Maw struggled.
Let's finally take it.
Here they come, teleport mid.
Aggressive TP, Condi actually on the turret, WE, sorry, he's going to look to take it down. Arrow actually going in as well, charge up but not used. Arrow missed is probably the reason why, but it's a good collapse and they're still going.
Yeah, it's very difficult for G2 to stop them right now. They don't necessarily have the wave clear options.
Well, good amount of damage done, but second turret does hold for now. Riftchild says bye-bye. And W2 again, back to the side lanes.
Yeah, W finally exploiting the weaknesses of this very one-dimensional G2 composition. It's all catered around Sven, but if they attack him early, hit his economy, scale him up slower, then obviously they're in control of the map.
And there's a big CS lead actually for Mystic that's opened up. I kind of started in the laning phase, but again, Sven being forced to play so safe and far back, even in the safe lane in mid. The Mystic's actually up almost 40 CS here in the matchup. 2 items done. Yep, Sven's still working on that second one, but the strength from W is just growing a little bit faster.
He needs 2 items and then he needs the QSS, and then he can really position more forward in fights. Mithi's also going for redemption, not Mikael's, because obviously you get the double value. Mikael's could be good against Ash Arrow, but if you already get the QSS for Malzahar ulti, Mauser's never going to use it anyway, so you can save it for the arrow that way.
Yeah, I mean, we know the eventuality of the items that G2 want to get.
Yeah.
Mikhail's, Redemption, possibly Ardent Sensor, but that's a lot, and it's kind of all on Mithy. The Nunu build very much is the Frozen Heart because of the 3 physical damage auto attackers that WE has, so he's obviously going to go with that next. So a little bit later of a turn on for the supportive items.
Yeah, maybe Frozen Heart into a Negative Cloak or a little bit of MR right there, and then you just pivot, and I think you go for Knight's Vow.
Yeah, I think Knight's Vow very early on Trick or Expect even. I mean, we saw yesterday they're very willing to go 2 Knight's Vows. That's a very strong item in the game right now.
Yeah. No AP top laner, so no banner to kind of save your map that way. So obviously Kled is just going to tear through that one, so there'll likely be lockets galore this game.
But look at this, Team WE biding their time and pushing the tempo. They know that G2 still doesn't have a team fighting presence, so they're actually threatening Baron at 21 minutes into the game now, which I think is quite smart.
Well, that ward's annoying.
Gotta do it well though.
Yep, double pink ward's required, right, Crapper?
If you only have 2 wards, they're definitely not in the right location right there.
Definitely
You
not.
never should do it in the... You can do it in the pit if you have wards to spare, but a single sweep in the pit usually means that you're fine, but they're still launching
Arrow
back
led
to
onto
arrow.
Sven, shot down as well. And there's the ulti on Sven, gonna get wild grip, but the damage is a little too much. 957, Flatter's going for the kill. Trick's gonna go down for the second, and now Perk diving into the backline, trying to get an assassination, but GA gonna shut that all down. Perks will get away, but WE get 2 crucial kills.
And that's actually really impressive, because very few teams pull the trigger from that distance. So Sven was waiting for somebody to get close and walk in front of him, but WE fire from so far away, and that is actually the Kled coming through in that pattern.
Yeah, everyone gets the move speed. G2's thinking about harassing this Baron, but that would be a big mistake.
Well, WE instead is gonna get the Baron. Shea Rift walks forward to try and get him off. Scar gonna tank it.
That's not the right adaptation. I think a really good point on the move speed right there, because that it just means that people close that gap so much faster. You feel safe in that distance. Every game you play versus an Ashe, arrow me anytime. I'll be out before you're here. But then in 1 or 2 seconds, everybody's there.
Moving up to clear the ward, and Trick does take the charge from Kled, but it's not nearly enough. It's still rank 1 Wild Growth, a level 10 Kog'Maw. Heal expended, but not even close. Sven realizes he can't even be that close to this WE team.
One more needs to come in much earlier as well to just get the Kled off. Sven.
Oh, get denied!
Perks. Buy time. Just buying time.
Yep. Chilling out. Flashes the emote, having some fun, distorts back in, and I think Shea's going to maybe try and chase him down. Good silence. Ben flashes over. Thunderlord's procs. He wanted the kill.
Ben don't mess around. He ain't got time for that. He has the Baron buff. He wants to push. Like, stop these shenanigans. I want to macro.
Yeah, Perks is doing his best to try and keep the minion wave out. Actually, when the Baron went down, Perks used to teleport to get to that bot lane. Definitely, probably shouldn't have died right there. Clear the minions, get out of there, and try and defend his 5, because that's exactly all G2 has left. WE extended this lead, picked up an early 20-minute Baron, really trying to punish now.
Should be able to do a lot of damage here. No Lich Bane early for Shea, went Abyssal second instead, but Kled with the teammate plus the Black Cleaver will be on the sideline turret, and of course Baron makes this almost trivial.
Yeah, and Kog'Maw can't actually kill these minions very quickly. Even with his W1, they have so much resistance to magic damage there that wave clear is really difficult for G2.
I mean, doesn't even have a Runas yet, so it's extra hard right now. Shea going to take down that tier 2 turret, make it 5 for WE. 957 working on the last one there in top lane. They have such a massive lead right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big mental blow for the G2 Esports lineup. They felt so good after yesterday, progressing throughout the day, great long game versus SKT. They felt good about the win, but we're seeing kind of the same thing we saw yesterday. Early game deficits that shouldn't really happen. Composition being punished, very much so. If WE can actually push the dagger through right now, they can easily take this game.
Exactly, and how deep does the dagger have to go before G2 falls over? Because 8,000 gold, it's a pretty deep cut right now for G2. Sven does have his Hurricane, but it might not even be about that at this point, because the amount of damage they can push through, and Mystic even being at a full threat. He's a full Phantom Dancer ahead of Kog'Maw, so yeah, you throw the Lulu and the Blood Boil onto Sven, and that makes him as strong as Mystic. Then you got everyone else to worry about.
Everybody else is the problem, because in terms of shot calling and target selection, it doesn't take a genius to figure out who you got to hit on the G2 Esports lineup, because Perks, he's a novelty. With this Q Assess Gunblade LeBlanc, he's not doing much, jumping in, doing some damage. G2 will need to be very precise in their engage. They don't have much time.
If you want to put a value on it, Mystic is about 2,500 gold ahead of Sven right now. So a completed item, as we can see in the inventory, looks like a catch on the GA. Maybe Cassidy really hard to pin down, but a good talk from Expect could make it happen. Riphook again, Absolute Zero going to get cancelled as there. Sven is going to move away, and GA still got shifts. Going to get himself out, almost gets over the wall. Flush snowball from Trick as the base is just getting destroyed. Why are you chasing a Cassidy? GA finally going to get taken down, but the spell trip's going to keep him alive even longer. Turret dead in top lane. It's just the base getting pushed in, and now GA just wants to cancel back. Top in hit goes down. G2. Oh, so desperate.
No.
And there's the touch in. Sven again gets taken. There's the Mother ult. He's absolutely dead to Condi. So much physical damage in the top half of the map, and it's just fallen to pieces for G2.
You got to be able to avoid that Ash Arrow even in that situation. They're chasing the Caston because they figured they'd lose the inhibitor anyway and are trying to get a kill. So WE make the most of it right there. GA lasts all the entire game pretty much, and then Sven does end up falling anyway.
Yeah, but even though it makes sense, it just goes down in such a comedic way.
Oh my goodness.
That is just the
Who do we
problem.
chase? The guy with the 2-second cooldown dash.
Yeah, Rift walks galore, and then
They got him though.
I wonder if this is gonna play far.
0957.
Yeah, in the way you lose this though, in the way that play goes down, I wonder if like kind of the backlash and the memes that are gonna come down from this are actually gonna hurt you to Esports.
Yeah, Sven flashing backwards from an Ash Arrow in a straight line. That's not the Sven you saw yesterday. Yes, the team is falling apart around him, but you have to be able to flash away from that Ash Arrow and not get hit.
Mystic now going to take red. Actually has a bolt strike the Raptors, and they'll start that camp as well. That's some power farming out of the Ash Arrow. Still about 40 CS ahead. Now with a Hex Trigger just to make sure that Gunblade, Void Stuff, QSS LeBron can't do anything else.
Yeah, it makes total sense here. WE playing it right. They have the right item builds. Condi and 957 are mutually helping each other with these Black Cleavers. GA survived the matchup, invested early in MR. Then went Roller Ages, he went equal to Perks, was super happy when he saw Perks pick up the QSS. And then the side lane pressure that these matches provided, they just snowballed WE forward.
Again, a massive Baron power play there, 6,700 gold.
Mystic and Perks doing battle. Mystic in a loop with the shield. There's a lockdown. QSS not going to save him from the void. Like Arrow hits on the Trick as well. That's going to be yet another pin down there as Water leads. Going to take down Trick through the Wild Growth, and now GA. Rip walks in, just zoning the rest of G2 out. There's the charge in. Almost killed Mithy in an instant, and then just straight onto Sven. Pulled back by 957. Exhausted down. Damage is there. Sven fights it up, but there's the
Condi wants it.
Condi. It's Expecto, who's the tankiest member left. Waterley going to walk the game in perhaps that you can see lining up for the fountain.
They're going to potentially kill the Nexus turrets first, but they have 20 more seconds to secure that Penta.
What matters more to WE? The Nexus or the Penta? Nexus open Condi, hoping Expect moves his way forward, but they'll take the game instead. WE take down G2.
And in what a way. Honestly, WE from the get-go, they see a one-dimensional composition. A game, I'm not going to say decided by an early red buff, but a very influential factor. But we can't blame that because every single step afterwards was taken well by WE.
Exactly. WE had to respond to the support bans in the draft. Ben's Malzahar was completely fine. Condi, the star player of this team, took over the early game, securing the red buff away from Trick, moving bottom lane, getting control of that, moving top lane, getting control of that. And even though he was 2-0 on the red side in this tournament when compared to 1-3 on the blue side. And one of the big advantages about being red side is it's much easier to get a counter pick for your mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. And if it's not for your mid laner, then at least it's for your solo laner on the other side, you know, the top lane in Expect right there.
Yeah, and what we're expecting out of this draft phase is definitely an Ivern ban from Team WE, but I'm wondering how the shielders are going to get attacked and where those pinches are, because we've seen Team WE have to play it both ways on the blue side, whether they have to pick between junglers or between shielders. And G2 is actually not even going to trade any shielders whatsoever, so that definitely changes the dynamic of the game.
Definitely looking for other power picks here if you're G2 Esports. It feels to me that Mithy is more comfortable on a melee support, and I feel like he can actually break open this matchup too. We saw yesterday there was a plan to get bot lane ahead. We saw Trick run an Experience Queen, go for double camp into Scuttle, and then get a level 3 gank bot. That was ultra planned, so you can definitely tell, even if they draft weaker matchups, Trick will alleviate pressure there.
And looking at this, with the Graves ban, it's no longer even a trade of Graves or Lee Sin, but the thing is, Trick's Lee Sin does not demand very much respect.
Exactly. This first pick is through onto Ashe instead, when Lee Sin would normally have been a first pick worthy champion in other matches. But you're right, Trick, not the biggest Lee Sin player, means you can take that later on.
Yeah, I would actually rather see Trick play Kha'Zix. More so, I would love the Elise the most, but I don't think his Elise has been good domestically. And then if you look at junglers that can pace just a little bit better, you know, have a little bit of a mark, even if their early game isn't great, I would personally like Kha'Zix. I don't think G2 also doesn't feel too bad about the Ashe steals. Ven can perform on other champions.
Exactly. Ashe has been first picked by Team WE before in one of their blue side victories earlier in the tournament, and they also have the flexibility now of getting to take the Lee Sin. So this can potentially be a side of picks that both teams could be happy with.
Yeah, and G2, they prioritized the Lee Sin over Elise versus TSM, and then Svenska ran away with the game right there. So definitely a change up in their style, showing some adaptability. It's also something we saw in Perks. Even though he's under pressure sometimes, he's become a way more well-rounded player. You were talking earlier about how consistent he has been. That has been his pedigree during the entire season.
So the case, we're going to see a support pickup potentially here for WE right here. I'm still, on the G2 side, not pleased with the bans they put through because they banned the Graves. Then it just feels like they got kind of pushed around in the first few picks.
Yeah, this had to be Tahm Kench here for Mythy, because he likes playing it. It helps shifting these lane-to-lane movements that help them pace in the early game, and it's just a great pick into Malzahar.
Exactly. Malzahar isn't the same type of lane harass as he used to be because his little minion things, what do they even call them? Voidlings, now take 2 hits instead of 3 to kill. Tahm Kench has actually been an early pick support when the Karma and the Lulu have been taken off the table. So the fact that WE kind of walked into that Malzahar, I actually think does favor G2 a little bit, and now we have the solo lanes left to decide.
They even get double value. Tahm Kench in itself is good against Ashe already. Getting it against the Malzahar suppression, Devour is just going to be a key component here. Hopefully maybe even allowing Sven to not rush to QSS.
True, and maybe eat my words, and Tahm Kench is the right choice after all, and G2 is the mastermind behind the ban phase too, as you kind of alluded to, somewhat baiting the Malzahar and getting the value for the Tahm Kench afterwards. Bans coming through, several top laners on both sides. All the mid laners left available for the most part here, unless you consider Karma and Fizz as the flexes.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I would say, Freak, is both teams are playing their own game in this draft phase. You can look at this draft in a number of ways. Giving away Ashe and then letting Lee Sin fall to the second rotation on blue side can be a disaster for most teams. I mean, that's why Trick has played 2 Lee Sin games, because it's such a high value pick. So there's a very real chance Condi takes over this game for Lee Sin, but we got to focus on the solo lanes now.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly a great point, because we've been talking from like G2's perspective, but look at what Team WE is drafting. Ashe and Malzahar are their comfort picks in that bottom lane. Condi can definitely play Lee Sin. We now get an even tank matchup with the Gragas in the top lane that I would even favor slightly towards the Gragas. So I think G2 is sacrificing maybe the perfect steals, but they're going for their own comfort.
And you got to keep in mind, if Mythy's not there on the Tahm Kench, someone's going to get ulted into probably dying to whatever solo lane has actually come out here, of course. Gragas there for the crowd control, you assume it's coming through for him in the top side, and now you probably need some kind of high damage mid laner, which LeBlanc fits the bill on, and if you're not careful, someone's getting popped on G2's side.
And I'm really excited to see this LeBlanc matchup, if they lock it, in which they do.
Give me the
LeBlanc
rise.
has actually been the most banned champion at MSI, but in the 4 times it's been picked, it's lost every game, because the teams that have been willing to give up LeBlanc have had a ready pick for it. Rise has won against it twice, including once for G2. So Perks is absolutely ready to play against this LeBlanc, but whenever Champ's banned for 14 times, it's not like these teams are just playing a fool. They definitely have some strategy and some wins behind that LeBlanc.
Yeah, but I definitely like the reaction here. I think Perks is super happy with the way this matchup scales. Early on it's tricky, so I think the breaking point is just these early few ganks. Can Condi do what he so often does, is just break open one of these lanes early with the Lee Sin, because otherwise it's going to be quite tricky. Alternatively, if Xia is going to sit on this teleport versus Snare and Cocoon in the mid lane, he may just die.
Yeah, that's a potentially dangerous lane, but I also see the Gragas pushing the Shen, the Ashe Malzahar pushing in the Varus Tahm Kench, and maybe the LeBlanc getting some shove onto the Rise. So this is close to being a disaster early game if G2 loses a little bit of pressure, because with all the pushing lanes and a strong Lee Sin jungle, that's kind of what happened to G2 the first time they played WE. They got run over early and were never able to recover.
I'm actually interested to see how this bot lane plays out, because if you sacrifice potions for push, you can do things like eating, avoiding and spitting it out, or just hard pushing with Tahm Kench and using the thick skin to soak. And Varus still has some AoE potential. They may actually need to go a little bit risky there to prevent exactly what you're saying there, Jet, and not get triple pushed.
See what happens. Of course, we know that Condi has been one of the best performing junglers this tournament. Certainly has been having better games than Trick, despite both these teams being 3-3. Condi has been a more consistent point of strength. And as you mentioned, 3 pushing lanes, Condi's form so far this week, this could be a complete recipe for success for that Chinese LPL team, for Team WE. And again, WE beat G2 the first time around. These are the 2 teams tied in second place. WE wins here, they're up to 4-3. They own the head-to-head 2-0, and that road to the top 4, that road to a high seed into the top 4, means they are in a good spot for a finals berth at the very end of it all. If this train continues, WE looking to be strong here.
6 games played so far at MSI for all teams. 4 remaining with a likely undefeated team in the top. We're putting the barrier for making it into the next round. 5 wins probably gets you there. 4 wins still could. So the fact that these teams are already sitting at 3 means this game really gives you a lot of wiggle room in future matchups.
Yeah, and in terms of the victories it gets you, top 4 is what you want for the seed for your region. If going further in the tournament though, then you want to be at least 2nd or 3rd, or you meet SKT in the semifinals, and it's going to be a quick trip home.
And we talked a lot about pushing lanes and champion select. I want to relay that with some stats from the tournament so far. We have a stat called forward percentage, which is the percentage of time a player is more than halfway across the map. Mystic and Ben play very forward and have been very dominant in lane. Mystic's been plus 15 CSD at 15, as well as him and Ben both having forward percentages of around 35%, which is close to the highest in the tournament. G2 has been playing back the whole time. Sven's -3 minus CSD at 15, and their forward percentages are about 15%, which is one of the lowest of all the teams. So even if they were going to try and play aggressive, it's not been happening this tournament, and their champions don't dictate it.
It's interesting. G2, as you mentioned, statistics have been the worst early game team. They've been behind more than anyone else here, and yet they are 3-3. They are still second place team. They've made the comebacks happen. Now, it doesn't make you feel really confident when you're losing all your early games, but they have at least managed to withstand those early games pretty well.
But they have been recently adapting. So the last time they drafted a lane that would get hard pushed on their turret with the Twitch, they had an early gank to relieve pressure. However, it seems as Trick starting on his right side, pathing away from this bot lane. So Mithy and Sven, they will have to take the honestly tough task of farming on the turret. They have excelled at this though, synergy-wise. That's actually here where we see Ben start with E. The new Malzahar may actually just max E or Q and just forgo the whole Voidling harass pattern against this matchup.
We'll have to see what he ends up doing here in this game. I'm definitely not up to snuff on the new Malzahar trends. So right now, Trick doing the wrap, sorry, not a wrap, it's a blue wolves into red start. I lost my place briefly, and looks like a very similar sort of mirror type of pattern from Condi. They're both going to get level 3 with double buffs on the top half of the map.
They lost the push. They yielded the push here, so let's see if Ben and Mystic did this willingly, because they had the option to go in. Maybe they are actually scared of that exact level 3 early gank.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, Crepo, because Mystic and Ben with those champions can easily get level 2 first. But if they're playing the safe game, if they think they're going to win the lane at level 3 or 4 anyway, and because Condi didn't have to make it down there for a gank, they're just playing the smart game right there and trying to not get pushed in. But the smart game actually concedes an advantage you didn't have to over to the opponent.
Yeah, if we then delve even deeper, Trick started blue side, they saw a leash. It's very punishing if an leash goes for a single quad and clear, and then goes for a gank in the same area, because you can get counter jungled there. So I think this is almost too much caution from WE. But maybe there's a bigger plan in the works that us mere mortal casters do not see.
Yeah, and this is a minor point. League of Legends is actually a game that's impossible to play perfectly. You can make correct decisions, but those are still based on assumptions. And the assumption for WE is that Trick would be going for an early game. He didn't, which makes it look wrong, and that's why they didn't get the push level 2.
End of the day, 200 gold does not win you or lose you a game, so the risk-averse one tends to be the one that pro teams go for, and it's the one that WE chose right now, and hey, they're doing pretty well at a major international tournament. Can't hate on them too much. You saw Trick right now, he was recalling. This is a very common thing for pro junglers. You'll take the 5 seconds to walk near the lane, then recall there. Again, you're playing percentages, you're playing the correct choice. If there is a gank, I'm close by. If there's not a gank, I lost 3 seconds to be in position for a counter gank. It's probably the right choice, and so Trick making that safe assumption that if Expect gets dove or jumped on, he's around. Condi, though, has already gotten his first recall off. He's back into farming and has a lot of gold for himself.
We saw another base in the mid lane. Perks picks up his tier early. So G2 so far not being punished for having these losing pushing matchups, potentially. Obviously, it spikes at level 6 there where Gia can disappear. Also, double teleport is something we will have to track.
They're going to eat Ben. This could be the kill right away. They can get this one to happen. Low HP onto him, running away, exhaust onto Sven. Here comes Condi. Nice flash to get away from the Q. Looks like it's going to be Mithy with gray health on. Wants to bait with that. Here's the flash. Gets the stun. One more hit. He'll do it. Condi blocks the stun. The safeguard's there. Can Trick get the kill? Yes, he can. How about the trade back? No! Mithy saves saves his life. Beautiful execution by G2.
That had to be so close because Devour is an extremely long cooldown early on, and he used it offensively at the start of the trade. Now Perkz has to leave the lane kingdom because he got poked out.
Yeah, so a loss in the mid lane, but a win down bottom there for G2. They were winning that 2v2 straight up. That's a lot of the reason why people like Tahm Kench, even into range matchups, because his all-in potential is so high. You land that Q and Ben is close because he was trying to harass Ben. You're too far up in the lane, man. Ben then has to blow his exhaust. Every summoner gets burned, and because Condi was there before Trick, that's what nearly turns it around. But this is how big the G2 advantage was earlier. Trick can arrive 5 seconds later, and G2 can still come out on top of the fight.
And it also shows you why, in a lot of laning phases, look at this Devour. Ah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
How, if you want to beat a Tahm Kench lane, you got to go through him first. Because if you ignore him in the trade, his trades from proximity are so strong. So generally, you want to poke him out until the 0 pots. He steps back, and then you go to the AD carry. But Ben skips this crucial step here and gets completely out-traded.
And what's funny to me is it reminds me of when WE lost to GIGABYTE Marines yesterday. When I cast them, it was Ben walking up when he shouldn't have. In the Marines game, it was him walking up and exhausting his Zyra when they were trying to go for someone else. Here, he's walking past the Tahm Kench to get comboed on, and lo and behold, loses the bot lane matchup as a result.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing, right, for WE, because Mystic has the best CS differential stats in the bottom lane, and they're often pushed up, so they're playing very aggressive. But that 10 or 15 CS actually isn't going to matter if you're giving up kills in lane, because the 15 CS isn't going to equal the first blood gold that's about 600 going over to the other team. So definitely now what's becoming a trend for WE.
Shifting to the other side of the map here, Perkz, he still maintained his flash. More importantly, he can now play aggressive because he has backup from Expect. Expect hit level 6. He's currently in an empty lane. That's why Perkz is going this aggro. Now, of course, 957 is there to potentially cancel out, but his teleport is down.
Keeping down means it's harder to roam around, of course. Expect in 957 still in a trading pattern, but Trick coming in to turn the gank around. There's a nice cocoon, a lot of stuns there. No more CC to land. Actually, Duke's back against the explosive cast. Hey, some damage.
Yeah, both top laners are actually trading. Body slam from Gragas and taunt from Expect. So the gank from Trick there was pretty low risk, and 957 was very safe with the way he tried to get away, flashing and ulting. That leaves him a little bit vulnerable for later, if Perkz can ever find a window in mid lane to come die.
See who comes in next. 600 gold difference right now. G2 basically up the value of that first blood plus assist. One of the major benefits of having Ashe on the team. Hawkshot knows that Raptors are down, Red buff spawning soon, and that Trick is exactly top side by the Krugs. Might have gone by the blue buff and seen that was up as well.
Yeah, but Trick on low HP and low resources means he has to base and then go for his clear. His red buff's up, so the bot lane can actually expect Trick to not arrive very soon. But we're also approaching a secondary key ultimate here for the G2 lineup. This Tahm Kench ultimate can really surprise people, especially if you pair it with an aggressive jungle like Elise.
Yeah, Tahm Kench and Shen, the number of things that can appear from nowhere. And Ryze is close to its peak, actually, as far as team compositions are concerned. But if they want to make those plays, they still have to get the push in the lane, which they are doing a really good job of for the first 8 minutes. The worry was that Team WE was going to push in all the lanes, and Condi was going to be invading Trick's jungle constantly. That hasn't happened, so you have to consider this an early game win for G2.
Especially if you consider that the catalyst to a lot of these losses was Trick falling behind in the jungle. We had that the new red invade where it was like 2 HP off, Trick just trying to catch up for losses and really making poor percentage plays. Right now, he's in a good spot here, looking for a 2v2.
2v2, here comes the jungler coming around in this one as well. Here comes Perkz, gets a Shen to his name though. Nice dodge, the cocoon kicks him over the wall, lands the Q as well. Right back out goes Trick, who is flashless. One more hit, I'll do it. Kill comes through to Xie. Now they're on to Perkz. Perkz gonna stay alive in this one though. Great trade, and that was through a Shen that did get canceled by 957's ulti, but either way, nice kill on the Trick.
Yeah, poor communication in the heat of the moment. Perkz and Trick were clearly expect to land, but he didn't show up, and then suddenly he turned around. Really good read from WE, realizing the Shen was cancelled, and then turning on the aggressive.
Yeah, and a big outplay by Condi towards the end of that fight, because it's a 2v2 skirmish with fairly equal levels. The one disadvantage that Trick had is he'd gone mobility boots rush and really didn't have much combat effectiveness, whereas you had the Warhammer on the side of Condi, so he's going to be doing more damage, especially when he's able to land his kill shots.
Yeah, here's Perkz using his ultimate to his advantage, matching the teleport. We also need to track if we get a replay there, whether the synergy between Elise and Ryze is actually up to Ryze to get a good W placement.
Yeah.
Because if the guy's behind a minion, like Trick is not Angelina Jolie, he can't get that cocoon around. Let's see what happens here. So he'll trade on GA, but GA is actually hiding behind a casting gate.
Yeah, Trick there for the counter gank. Shen'L comes in, so you expect it to turn. But that flash right there by Condi is what turned it. And you also notice 957, pretty easy Gragas ultimate. Expect would have had to go much further back if he wanted to avoid that. of course, when Shen doesn't arrive, the ultimate wasn't on Trick. He has no extra shielding. Team WE smartly focus him.
Good kill picked up, so equalizes the gold here in this one. And Condi had already been farming a bit more than Trick, so individual gold-wise, it's pretty much the same amount of money on both of these two junglers. G2 small gold lead from farm right now. We'll see what else can pay off. Their bot lane actually still +7.
Yeah.
The gank obviously helps with that one, but still it's Sven and Mithy who have been pretty frequently the reason they've been winning games. Are off to a good start.
It's about 5 minutes until the really cool part of this game starts, where WE will initiate 1v1 protocol, put both teleports on the side lanes, and then G2 have the ability to really move rapidly in between lanes with that Ryze, Shen, and Tahm Kench.
Yeah, there's been a couple of trends we've noticed at this tournament. One of them was the shielding supports. Those are almost getting banned out now. So from there, we've been seeing so much more split map play. These teams are playing the side lanes more than we've seen in quite a while. So whoever can get an advantage on those side lanes, and it can be from either the mid lane getting ahead or the top lane getting ahead, holds a huge edge.
So you can make those plays. Condi gonna get face checked by Expected. He taunts into him. Of course, the ward was there, kicks him right back out. Here comes Mithy bringing in Trick, jumps right back onto Condi. Doesn't go for any CC just yet, gonna run right back out. Looks like 957 threatening enough. Now Perks showing up, but that is a haphazard dive. They already stopped fighting. Why even go for the ulti Perks?
And here we see the theory in action, but an execution error. But you can just imagine what this comp could have achieved. But what a great reaction from WE. I'm sure they smelled it. The second Expect blind taunts 1v2, I think they knew what was coming.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to throw the kitchen sink at him with only Sven staying in the bottom lane. You can have the right call, like rushing the Nexus as TSM is doing the other Drake, but you have to hit the right things at the end of it. And G2, I think, could have made the right theory, but
like
didn't
the
make it
Nexus.
happen.
Yeah, well.
What about in 2014 when you had the right call? Is that too soon?
That's fine. We can talk about that one.
Okay.
Statute of limitations for Nexus rushes.
Great. Oh, here we are at a tied game. This one, again, very important as it's the last time these teams will play each other during the group stage, and it's the two teams tied for second, the 3-3 record. When you've got a 6-0 SK Telecom T1 is pretty good when you're expecting to lose twice to that Korean squad. No major offensive moves have been coming through for Team WE just yet, and the thing is, they are on their key ultimates. We've got the Nethergrass from Ben, you've got the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from Mystic. These are the champions that you would expect to see starting out the fight. Now, against Tahm Kench, that's not going to happen really for you, but if they can get out of the lane and find someone else to kill, that can.
Yeah, so it's actually both teams keeping each other at a status quo. A move you can often make with Varus and Tahm Kench is basing and switching sides of the map. But obviously, you don't want to do that against WE because creating an open map for these split pushes is not really in G2's favor. So they're staying bot lane. A little bit of a pause right now, so we can delve even deeper. So by no means is G2 safe yet.
Exactly. Waiting for Gunblade out of the mid lane, LeBlanc. Waiting for Blade of the Ruin King out of the bot laners. And we're also waiting for when the globals come into play because we're still in the laning phase. That's not likely to decide this game. It's going to be about how they play the side lanes in this matchup and how much they can spread out the map and make the proper collapses.
Yeah, and the game has been snowballing for WE. Whenever Ben and Condi successfully group up and play with some vision here, following this Dragon take, they moved in deep vision, got a blue buff steal here, so slowly creeping on to G2's turf.
So he didn't creep on any farther right now. Gold League is going back and forth, 200 right now in the favor of Team WE, and then it goes back to nothing, so never mind. Farms and waves going back and forth. Plus 20 for the top set of Expect, definitely a solid one here. Mid looking for the big play alongside Trick, hoping to flank in his bottom lane, looking for Ben. They poke off the passive, great flash to get away. And the CC will not land. Here comes the re-engage. Arrow's going to land on the mid. The after burns the flash. Here comes the pressure. They have the burst damage. Tries to get the shields on. Will live a little bit longer, but he's not going to survive it through. Nice kill picked up for WE. The ultis are layered, no problem.
Yeah, cautious engage here. Follow-up coming. That's a fake clone. Here's the real one.
Cocoon used on the clone. Here comes the chase. One kill coming through. Make that another one. 3 for 0 with the bot lane dive. Team WE far ahead now.
We talked about collapses. That was Team WE making a huge one. We saw Mithy try and get aggressive with Trick. They only sent 3, but Team WE was able to bring the entire squad down there. Did not like the placement of Mithy's Abyssal Voyage, but Team WE turned that around beautifully.
Yeah, definitely did not. Let's try and get in the minds here, like maybe why they don't want to get lane ganked potentially, but still, they're way out of range. Telegraphing it super hard for Ben to flash here, and then the reaction from Expect is way too late.
Exactly. Ben still had his passive shield up, so I also have to point out that Mithy was focused properly. Otherwise, he would have just devoured someone. So the guy that they could nether grasp, they did. But then the continuation of the gank as well. Burning the cocoon on the clone, only emboldening WE even more so. And Condi landing the spells on Lee Sin. Everything worked out at the end there for Team WE.
And one other constraint here, critique here of Mithy is he flashed in a line. He saw the arrow flash and it still hit him. You're not allowed to flash into the skill shots that get you killed. Mistake from Mithy that even got these kills happening in the first place. If he lives, he saves the rest of the targets. That dive probably doesn't happen at all.
Yeah, that placement, it really makes you wonder, right? Like, because they're being proactive with the play. They don't have the Shen with them from the get-go, so they're kind of half-committing both location and in terms of intensity of the gank, and somehow WE, they get to react much faster here on a reactive play.
And because of that, all the gold influx they just got, Gunblade completed on the Blanc, Blade of the Rune King, and QSS completed onto Mystic. They have the ability now to play forward and set up more of those plays.
Let's see what W can now do with this one. They've had hit and miss early in this one, though, hitting pretty nicely now at the 15-16 minute mark here. Mystic has been swapped into the mid lane alongside Sven on the other side. Ulti's not going to land. Nice dodge there by Mystic. Taunt's going to go in, but a perfect timing on the Quicksilver Sash. Mystic gets away with it. Nice job to stop that aggression.
Really good movement here by Mystic. Sven, again, not finding the mark here on crucial engages. We had the Ash arrows kind of go wander off right now. That Varus ultimate doesn't connect for the second time in a row. Need to see if this gets to G2's mental game.
Yeah, pretty good amount of harass there just from a few spells from Shea as well. You can see blue buff Gunblade LeBlanc at this point of the game. Very difficult to deal with. Perkz is going to try and match because he's built so much magic resist, but it's still going to be a tall task.
Puts a clone to the brush to see if the Shen was recalling. In fact, the recall complete, so we got out of that one. But yeah, here comes Rise to match in the lineup. Ben and Mystic back into the mid lane. Perkz playing very defensively in this one. Does not have flash. Does not want to get attacked by another grasp. They know Ben's ulti is down, but that cooldown is likely to be shorter on the flash.
Now W is looking for spillover. They're looking to push this LeBlanc lane, move into the enemy jungle, maybe surprise somebody mid, maybe surprise somebody who's warding over wall. Same for the Gragas in the top lane. Q-Max means just AoE push, disappear, find the pick somewhere. W is in their ideal formation, 1-3-1.
Exactly, and you have to wonder how G2 is going to try and fight back from this, because the multiple times, too, they've tried to use Abyssal Voyage, it's gone wrong for them. They either blow everything to get nothing, or they just kind of walk into a counter gank. Another Ash Arrow finds True.
Gonna find the stun, gonna find the root as well. Grey Health still getting burned down. Do they have the damage to kill off Mithy? Not just quite. Under 100 left on the support. He's gonna survive though. Perkz is in the lane with his ghost popped and does not find anything to do with it. So a summoner spell down for basically nothing. He ulted in and found no targets.
Really close there for Mithy going down. His flash was still on cooldown. Uses Grey Health very well right there. Procced it at the right time, but you can see the threat that W is applying.
They can get on this one. The threat is still there. Mid lane going to be falling pretty rapidly. What I got in the first turn of the bot lane. Now the chase side was cutting his kickback. Knocks up Sven. Doesn't go for that dive just yet. Now Expect is here. Does find one kill. Ben goes down. 957 is the target. One stack from Tom Kench is on. Here's two. One more attack will give him Devour, but he's not going to get that one here. It's now Expect. We're going to help. Nice knockback. Finds him, and Mithy never able to save. Instead, he dies. Two picked up there for one traded back. Well played, WE again.
Yeah, beautiful turn by 957 there, but you also have to talk about the poor communication at the tail end of that team fight for G2. Their front line was forward, which normally feels like a good thing, except their entire backline damage threat was at about 200 health, so they couldn't even get close. That just allowed Team WE to free hit, wait for the turn, land the Gragas ultimate, and get the kills.
Nice fight by Trick, but it's a poor consolation prize. So it's a participation ribbon at best right now with the fact that WE has taken over everything for the last several minutes of this game. 4,000 gold lead, 2 turns to 0 as well. And you're getting the root on the Trick.
Yeah, and they just took a massive leap forward in this race for second place here. Both teams tied at 3-3, looking for that fourth victory here. W, their early game wasn't the best with this composition, but they just turned it on this first item spike.
Yeah, and it was about grouping in the mid lane, but note that they grouped before G2 did. Perkz keeps the Shen ult, Mithy comes in, so that's a lot of the chase G2 had already down. Expect also expenses flash taunt needlessly.
Yeah, here they should pull the fight. I'm pretty sure Mithy still has Devour. He could just walk out with Expect here, but he's looking to play so defensive that gives honestly a fantastic ultimate ult for 957. Two-man cast right there. Nothing they could do.
But really poor coordination from G2, as you're mentioning. Yeah, great play from WE, but Sven is literally hitting minions under the turret while his front line is running for it. He had help to fight, and he didn't tell them, or he didn't get the message, or something went wrong where he's hitting minions when his tanks are trying to engage, and that just can't happen. Jat, you had mentioned before, low health bar on Perks as well, of course. And it's a mistake from G2 and capitalization by WE.
Yeah, it could also be mistaken. Sven's flash may have been down during that fight. Whenever Gragas enters the fight like that with Body Slam Flash available as well as Cask, you have to be extremely respectful as someone like Sven. So I can see why he would stay back in that fight.
Gonna dodge some of the CC. Trick is gonna be able to get away with this one. Explosive Cask, jukes to the side. Perks is okay, so is Trick. Pretty well played defense by G2, but this red buff going to be taken away, which is still advantage to Team WE. Spike guarantees another re-engage. Sven not long for the world. One more hit, he'll do it. Taken down by 957. Heavy lifting done by Xie, of course. Trick forced to run. It's a kill plus the red buff steal. WE just continuing to win everything. Perks pops X Drinker. Looking for Condi, won't get much more. Nice stun, stops 957.
Yeah, G2 looking to reclaim something on the bot side of the map. Perks has had really good movement in his fights, but his allies are getting picked off. Turns out even if you have Flash available, Jat, you can still fall victim to Body Slam Flash and end up dying.
Yeah, that fight was all about Xie getting the majority of the damage onto Sven, so now he's flashless and things are kind of going from bad to worse. Expect doesn't even stay to push the bottom lane. I thought that was the whole point of delaying the recall, so not the best after-fight coordination, but watch Xie onto Sven.
Mithy's not even close, of course. Normally you'd want him there so we can save Sven and prevent some of the damage coming through. Not even a possibility for him there. He's on the wrong side of the fight with that one. Can't objectively blame Mithy, but it's still the situation they were in.
Yeah, and this game's getting out of hand because Team WE is making the right call in almost all cases here. Yes, G2 isn't playing as good defense as maybe they could be, but Team WE is just relentlessly assaulting them.
Absolutely agree. All the time they are into the jungle, looking for fights, looking for those pickoffs, and Xie has done so well on that LeBlanc.
Yeah, and this offensive playstyle with double split push also has really low cost of failure because the plays are made so deep in G2's jungle that even when they can outplay or neutralize, they can't get any objectives on the back of those plays, right? While WE is actually stealing away jungle farm from Drick. And that actually makes him fall further and further behind on this very snowbally pick in the Elise.
Absolutely the case, and even though he did get that first gank or counter gank or whatever you want to call it off, hasn't found much more so far in this game, and Condi is true to the pedigree we've seen so far this tournament. Condi is having the better game from the jungle role. Trick managed to smite his own blue buff back. That's been about it so far this game. G2 licking their wounds, hoping they can scale up, but with how much threat is on Sven, even with a Hurricane completed in about 1,000 gold, it's going to be so far to go for G2 to catch up.
Yeah, now we're already started to think about the Baron Nashor calls, but if you look at G2's comp, they are extremely good at defending their own jungle. They have multiple movements possible to get into the pit. Abyssal Voids, you know, maybe with the Tahm Kench or the Rise ultimate is available too for them. So it's going to be very hard for WE to get conclusive control over this top left quadrant. So they need to keep the map open.
Yeah, and they need to continue to make the plays. We talk about the late game scaling of the Malzahar against a QSS Tahm Kench. If they ever end up in that situation where they group and they're not able to spread out the map, it makes the Malzahar mostly irrelevant. And likewise, if you get enough inherent magic resist and Sven doesn't get hit by Xie's skill shots, LeBlanc can be a non-factor. So you can have a lot of different ways of outscaling if you're G2 right here, as long as they can stop the bleeding. It just gets harder and harder the more successful plays Team WE make.
And that's the thing, Team WE has made these successful plays. They are ahead. They've done such a good job in this game. 6,000 gold lead at 23 minutes is certainly a great mark to be in right now. And let's watch as they keep it going. They've got decent ward coverage in this top jungle. They've got about 6 around the Baron pit right now. 957 seems to have pretty good enough control over Expect in the lane. He's just kind of playing the part. It's about the other 4 and what they can do with this one. Again, that ward control pretty nice. You can see complete darkness in that upper river. G2 have to face check Fog of War, brush after Fog of War brush. WE can be waiting in all of them.
They're debating, are they 3-man Nashor? No, they are, but it's Strict dying.
They're going to look for a lot of damage into this one. Of course, the chain still follows. Stun into Mithy, pops the Quicksilver Sash, but that is health bars and cooldowns burn.
And that's why it's really important to use the buddy system when you're checking the jungle like that with the Tahm Kench. Pretty much perfect use of the Devour and the QSS, but that still pushes them back. QSS is now down. They're low on health. Team WE make the turn.
And it's a play they have to make. They know it's so hard to actually get the kills in the jungle. They're going to go for the Baron play itself. Trick was chunked. Has to come back into this one.
But if it goes on, look for Abyssal Voids and Shadows. He can drop Trick potentially into the pit. He can repel as well. This is a 50-50.
3,000 health, perks off on the side. Here comes Shen. There's the null, and it's going to be a lot of damage. The taunt to run away. They're going to get them off Baron. Trick going to be chunked very low. Nice push in on Inspect, but he's the tank. He's going to stay alive. G2 able to stop the Baron attempt.
To G2's credit, they have been very good at defending Baron here at MSI. So another close hold, but WE is going to continue to go.
The defense might be cut right now. It's going to be Shea getting the opening setup. Kill comes through to 957, but make no mistake, the hard work was done by the mid laner. Condi actually ends his Q on just the underside of the wall, so he gets pushed back. I know it looked funny, but that is going to work that way based on when he hit the button. But it looks like it's another attempt for Baron, this time with the dead mid laner, and double Ocean Drake to keep their health bars high.
Yeah, and they're going back. Drake is lurking around the top side. He knows he can wait a little bit here. So his reaction is bait to poke, to starting Nashor, and then another turn here with Can't Think. Do the unthinkable here with the steal. TP's coming in for Expect.
Looking for the play. It's a 4v5. Trick over the wall, repels way early and dies for free. He didn't know how low it was. It's going to be a clean take. It's G2, forced to run away. WE with the great play secures the Baron with no sweat at all.
I love the relentlessness, and I love how they utilized the double Ocean Drake. That was so critical there in the extended fight, never having to recall and still being at full health. But specifically, G2 just had no other ways of getting vision inside the pit. They kept the control ward down so that the blue ward was able to just get disabled, and then Trick just had to try to find his way because they were out of control with, they're out of everything else for vision.
WE has been forcing G2 to gamble. When initially it was Ash pushing up the lane solo and mid, and they could technically be doing 3-man Asher. G2 gambled on the face stick, they got punished and poked out, then they had to go around. W did not want to go for 50-50, so they got key ultimates turned again, and meanwhile, the Ocean Drakes just kept on ticking and ticking and ticking, and then they went in. And I love that you can play with the speed at which you take a Baron Asher. A lot of teams will do a 50-50 and actually hold it on 3,000. Wait for somebody to come in, kill that guy, and then turn. So this is actually very calmly played by WE.
Definitely agree. Smart stuff out of this squad, and the 8,000 gold is what's there to show how good they've been in this game. Turning around a single bot lane counter gank, and otherwise it's all been roses. The Chinese squad right here looking to improve to 4-2, looking to make it a 2-0 head-to-head against G2, which would tie break any two-team tiebreaker, obviously, which sets WE in pole position to get that second place bye. I realize the irony of pole position for second place, but trust me, it's going to work in this metaphor here. 9,000 gold looking for the push now into the bottom lane. Inhibitor turret under fire shortly. G2 against the ropes.
Yeah, Team WE has done such a great job of snowballing this one up until this point. They have the sustain as well, so they can keep this as a relentless push. Mystic goes down to half health. He's got good lifesteal as well as Ocean Drake, so he'll be full health in no time.
Yeah, this full health. And this is a team as well that stepped into the tournament with Condi and Mystic being their big names alongside GA. But I feel like 957 has really done a great job in their wins here. Key factor. Now Sven's flying in.
Now they're going to find Mindy, who's able to save a bit of time for this one. The kickback gets him nicely played by Condi. Going to get away with it as well. He's going to make it all happen. Double kill so far for GA. Looking for a bit more as Expect forced to run away. Stunned up, going to die despite the dodge zone. They got plenty of damage also-wise, and it's going to be bot lane inhibitor dying.
Yeah, Ben's actually adding a lot of value. Even though every offensive move ult-wise is getting cancelled, he's giving 2-second silences in these team fights because his team is playing so far forward, making it very easy to land them. That breaks with the normal flow for G2 as well.
And what a dive that was just overall for Team WE, pushing just as far as they can without losing a single member. This is probably going to be the game.
Going to be at 28 minutes in. The first Nexus turret has fallen. Persh hoping to do something to buy time. It's just not going to happen, though. It's just Mithy and the mid laner. Tricks around here somewhere as well. They're going to try as hard as they can to kill something off, but the last stand, well, they're not going to stand for too much longer. The respawns are back. GA there to do a bit more damage. Trick running him out of the base, and okay, G2 have bought a few more seconds, but costing the life of their jungler.
Well, they're deciding to run out of the base and recall because they have such a gargantuan advantage, but a defenseless Nexus the next time WE wants to walk in.
It's never a good sight when the enemy team is casually strolling out of your base past 2 turrets, and then turning back to kill you because they have 2
There we
oceans.
go. They weren't even recalling. Looking for the fight right again. Ben stays alive. Will drop down to Sven. That's something picked up, but look at the damage of it back onto him. Killed off by Mystic, who's now got double kill for himself, and even Shea survived just barely. His encounter with the 2 solo laners of G2, and now once again they continue the siege into the mid lane.
I don't think I've ever seen a game with this much value from Ocean Drake.
Yeah, it happens occasionally, right? You realize when it is the perfect Drake for you right now. Whenever they can't quite kill you, it just means they never have to recall, and especially in a game that can be dictated by tempo and ultimate cooldowns like Stand United. Team WE is getting so much value out of it.
Especially against ult-based teams. You mentioned, so we can watch that bot lane fight again as we set it up.
Yeah, this was just so well done by Team WE. Notice right after the QSS, they still land the Ash Arrow and get the kickback onto mid.
Yeah, and then it's so easy, but with GA, his movement in and out of these fights is so crucial. He goes in the background, kills, snaps back to reality right there, and Ben, he's just walking around silencing people, you know, it almost looks too easy for WE.
Yeah, the turret was also on 957 for the majority of that dive after Condi had gone in for the first one, so they even bounced that properly. Just very well done.
There's not much left to do now. G2, this would be a much stronger comeback than the Flash Wolves or the nearly TSM one. This is, even though G2 have come back from early game deficits, this one is practically out of reach. 15-3 and kills. WE looking to close it out soon.
This is becoming a pattern here for G2. They attack the setup, so they don't want to get split pushed into their base. Whenever somebody has a Baron or an aggressive push here, they're looking to attack them in the moment they're setting up formation.
Trying to find it, 957 though in the front line. Arrow's going to land on a trick, gets chomped up by Mithy, stays alive. There's a flash ulti on the Perks. QSS out, he's going to be alive for a little bit longer, but there's the first kill. Mithy is gone. Nice setup there, the double knockback as Trick has fallen. Perks going to be off the map as well, 2 left alive. And Sven is now dropping, only expect left alive, and I expect this game is going to be over. WE going to close it out, going to improve to 4-3, and they're going to dominate the head-to-head 2-0 against G2 Esports. WE running well in the back half of this group stage.
Yeah, 3 people on Team WE deathless in this game. They played it very well and make a strong statement to try and be the number 2 in this tournament.
Well played, Team WE, amidst the cheers of the Brazilian crowd here in Rio de Janeiro. What might be the number 2 team at this tournament have been victorious. G2 Esports still have some wounds to lick. They're also still in third. 3-4 is the highest other teams can hope to get at the end of the first set of games today. So still in a position to make the top 4.
Yeah, and Shia right there. King is dead.